Welcome back inside the Edward Jones Dome here in downtown St. Louis, Missouri. It's time for the nightcap of the 2015 edition of Show Me Bowl, and we've saved the biggest class in the state of Missouri for last. It's the Class 6 matchup between two unbeatens. It's the Christian Brothers College High School Cadets defending their 2014 state championship against the Blue Springs South Jaguars. Hello, everybody. I'm Corey Riggs, joined by John Edwards. And John, you just got done wrapping up the Class 2 game. That was a bit of a runaway. Don't think we're going to see the same thing in this matchup.
No, but you have two of the best teams in the state of Missouri, one from the St. Louis side, one from the Kansas City side. And Corey, you're looking at speed for CBC versus size for Blue Springs South here tonight. And
it really is kind of two coaching philosophies that clash here. Blue Springs South, simply put, is as big up front as any Class 6 team in the state. There are probably some Missouri Valley Conference schools that would like to have the size on the offensive line that Blue Springs has.
It's a big physical group of young men on that, and I say young men, I don't say boys, I will say men, because this is a big group of players, and this is a team that pushed around Kirkwood on Kirkwood's home field in the semifinal game, beating them 41-17.
On the other side of the ball, CBC has been here before. They are your defending Class 6 champs. They won it all a year ago against a very good Kansas City team, Rockhurst. They had a great quarterback, TJ Green, the son of Trent Green, who played for the Chiefs and the Rams. But today, they've got a great quarterback and a young man that's really matured from last year to this year in Blake Charlton.
Yeah, Blake Charlton last year, the objective for Blake last year was to control the offense and really just hand the ball off to Trey Bryant. And that was really what he needed to do last year. But this year, Corey, 2,700 yards passing, and really now adding a different dynamic to this team, the CBC Cadets.
Yeah, you just can't line up in the trenches against CBC and try to stop the run. Charlton can strike down the field in a hurry. He's got some great targets to use in the aerial attack for the Cadets. You know, Blue Springs South is a team that has been here in the Dome recently, just as CBC does. Maybe the unique thing a lot of people don't realize is Blue Springs South has 2 state championships. Every time they've won the state championship hardware, it's been against these Cadets.
Yeah, and they'll come back here tonight, and we could talk about the offense of Blue Springs South, but you can't discredit their defense. Over 350 tackles from the linebacking core of Blue Springs South. This is a fast, aggressive team. You'll see them blitz tonight. You'll see them do different things against a CBC team, hoping to contain Trey Bryant and maybe throw Blake Charlton a curveball here on a defense really that they haven't seen pressure-wise all season long.
Well, you and I both see a lot of high school football all over the state of Missouri over the course of the year, and you told me in no uncertain terms this Jaguars defense blitzes more than anybody.
It is. You know, you go to a high school football game, you see an occasional blitz or two during the course of a game, but this Jaguar team against Kirkwood blitzed more than any other team in any other game I'd seen this season. This was a team that was throwing cornerbacks into the blitz. They were throwing linebackers into the blitz. Their linebacking core has 11 sacks on the season. So this is a team that gets after the football at all costs, and they're aggressive, and they don't take chances or risks. They're very responsible for what they need to do in the defensive side of the football.
I know I can probably count on one hand this season the number of times I've seen corners blitz, let alone in the case of the Jaguars, blitz effectively and successfully.
Yeah, it's an aggressive style of football, and Greg Oder, the coach for the team, you know, he talked about his team being physical, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to come up against a fast team tonight in CBC, and we always say it's the age-old adage. It's speed versus size, and usually the speed wins, but I don't know. Tonight could be a tough one.
You talk about the CBC Cadets, and obviously they are a team that won it all a year ago. That's not breaking news. What is breaking news is that level of talent. You talk about the speed. It's not just quick. It's Division I quick. You feature guys that are going to play at big programs next year.
Yeah, we talk about Blake Charlton, the quarterback of this football team. He's not playing football at the next level. He's going to play baseball at Mizzou, and he was a fantastic baseball player for CBC. We saw him in a state championship last year, Class 6, and he's a phenomenal baseball player. But you're looking at some of the guys on the offensive line that are going to go play football at the next level, Division I, and really their offensive line is as big as any offensive line in the state.
I was actually talking to a couple of guys that said there's a tackle for CBC that's supposed to be on a visit to Michigan tomorrow. He may very well be taking a state championship individual award with him all the way up to the big house to see Michigan play. Who knows at this point in time?
I have to say this, go blue, and that's directed at Jim Powers, our coordinator. and your producer who is an Ohio State fan.
Oh, no, we're not going to get into that one. We're not going to get into that. What we are going to get into is our first break. But when we come back, we'll get a look at the keys to the game, some of the focus players, and bring you all the live action of this. The Class 6 championship game between CBC and Blue Springs South. It's all coming up next on Mission.TV, a proud partner of the NFHS Network. Two teams that have seen one another in this exact same place on more than one occasion. In 2006, the Blue Springs South Jaguars defeated CBC on this field 41-7 to cement an undefeated season. And then in 2011, they had a battle for the ages, a 47-30 knockdown dragout, and it was a great one. We hope to see that again tonight. John, walk us through the keys to a victory tonight for CBC and Blue Springs.
Well, first for Blue Springs South, they have to control the offensive line. They have to be in control of the offensive line. They have to move that defensive front from CBC, and they also have to control on the defensive side of the football Trey Bryant, and that's a key to the game. Trey Bryant, I mean, we'll talk his name all night long. On the other side of the football for CBC, be patient on offense. This is a team who likes the quick strike, but be patient against an aggressive team. And you know what? This team's been here before. They need to, act like they've been here before.
It's not easy to do sometimes underneath the bright lights and all the pressure that comes from trying to take another state championship home to both of these schools. And you see both teams with their captains out on the St. Louis Rams helmet logo right at midfield, and we turn our attention to our focus players. And we mentioned his name in the open. John, we're going to mention his name all night. The cadet QB, Blake Charlton.
Blake Charlton on the season comes in 127 for 208, 2,774 yards, 32 touchdowns. But not only does he go for 32 touchdowns in the air, but he goes for 300 yards on the ground. So you're looking at a player who could do a little bit of both during the course of the year.
Then on the other side of the field, and boy, it's not easy to read protect the tradition on the back of these jerseys, but that number 12 tells you all you need to know. That is going to be our focus player, the running back, Adam Cofield for Blue Springs. He knows how to get loose in the second level of defense as well.
He sure does. I'll tell you what, in that game against Kirkwood, 2 plays from the line of scrimmage, he went 62 yards. They had the ball 14 seconds, and Adam Cofield put Blue Springs South up 7-0 in the first quarter. Over 1,200 yards rushing on the season, 6.3 yards per carry, 13 touchdowns. He's a player to watch for Blue Springs South.
There is talent on both sides of the field. There is talent on both sides of the ball, and it is going to be John and I's pleasure to bring you all of it for the next couple of hours here, as we are now just 40 seconds away from the kickoff of our final of 4 games today here on what has been an eventful Black Friday inside the Dome. You started the day off with an incredible 8-man game. Me and Dion Clisso had a fantastic finish to the Class 4 game and saw Webb City get knocked off the mountaintop by a great Kearney Bulldog team. Lamar, all they did was tie a Misha record for 5 straight state championships in Class 2, and now 2 teams that know what it means to go nose to nose for a title get ready to lace them up and do it again here. Blue Springs is going to kick it away. Their kicker is Jacob Roark. He wears number 89. Blue Springs in the all green with blue trim and the blue helmets. The cadets in the white road tops and the purple pants and the gold helmets. Roark is back. The crowd gets rowdy. They hit the music. We are underway in a Class 6 clash. Fielding it at the 1. The deep man for the cadets, and he will bring it out in a hurry. That is number 9, Gary Anderson. Sometimes hard to tell between the 8 and the 9 there as you get a look at the crowd. We talk you about the starting lineups for CBC. starting lineups will look like this. Offensively on the line, they go Lewis, Feeney, Schmidt, Swanson, and Dorrell, the 5 down offensive linemen. Then the wide receiver, Gary Anderson, Cameron Babb, the tight end Gormley, and then Charlton, the quarterback, Trey Bryant, and Caleb Allen, the featured backs. Defensively for the Jags, it's Twy, Griffin, Miles on the down linemen. Cofield, West, Blair, and Jenkins round out the linebacking core. I'll give you the secondary in just a moment. On first down, spinning and slicing his way to the far side of the field is Trey Bryant. Again, rounding out the defensive secondary, Micah Mayberry and Jerome Hopkins are the quarters. Cale Connors and Jake Lamb are the safeties for Blue Springs. It's exactly what you expect, isn't it, John? Right off the bat, go to Trey Bryant. He gets you 6 yards on first down, and he makes it look easy. Second down here, and that Blue Springs defensive front says, we know what you want to do, and we're going to try and stop you, and they have some success there.
CBC going no voice at the line of scrimmage. Charlton with the clap of the hand for the signal to the center, and a good play from the linebackers to step in there. Adam Cofield in on that tackle.
They knocked the ball loose even. They went ahead and said that they'd whistled the play dead. So 3rd down and 3 here. Ball on the 29 that gives to Bryant. He turns the corner around the near side, and he'll have plenty for the first down. A nice job picking up about 5 yards. They only needed 3, and that time Trey Bryant, the future Nebraska Cornhusker, shows you what he can do on the edge. Bryant
got to the edge. Good block to seal off the linebacker Colin West, and Jerome Hawkins, the cornerback, had to step up and make the tackle.
1st and 10 now. Charlton goes to the air. Far side of the field, one quick move, and they'll pick up half of what they need that time. Number 9 again, Gary Anderson. He had the opening kickoff return, and I think Mr. Anderson thought he had a face mask, and he does, as we've got the first penalty of this one.
As we get a look at Anderson, he's going to make the turn up the field, and reaching in with the face mask penalty is going to be Colin West. West, the linebacker, 86 tackles on the season, 1 sack, and Blue Springs South will get called for the face mask.
Gary Anspach is the referee of tonight's Class 6 championship game crew, joined by John Bishop, the umpire. Tony Sloan is the linesman, Bradley Holman, the line judge, and Rashad Tompkins is the back judge. Get a good look at the CBC sideline. And back to it on 1st and 1. They go right up the middle. Bryant dances around into the second level of the defense, and he'll pick up 4 yards on the first down carry. Bryant, as advertised, and they're working him quite a bit here in the early going.
You see Bryant get through that first level. You see a good block by Max Durrell, pushing his defensive lineman back a few yards, giving some room to Bryant to push it up the middle for the first down.
Colin West, the linebacker, among others, in on the stop. Now they go to the change of pace back here. A little bit of a different look with Caleb Allen. He's a different running style from Trey Bryant, isn't he, John?
He's a much fuller and a much thicker running back, and that's the kind of guy that you want for short yardage play. But CBC so far, they're running the ball to the left side of the field. They're stretching out this aggressive defense. We talked about the aggression. You want to stretch them out because you're going to make that quick hitting play up the middle.
3 down linemen on 2nd and 6. They bring the ball to the near side again. Bryant pinballs off one would-be tackler and will be about 2.5 yards short of the first down. You can tell he already needs to catch his breath. It's been a workout here in the early going for Bryant.
Isaiah Miles making the tackle, the nose tackle, and really not getting much pressure on this CBC defense. They need to make a push here. Bryant taking a beating here early on.
He's gassed already. Charlton now back to work. There's the 2 claps. They'll turn and look to the sideline here. The check with me offense on 3rd down and 2. Ball on the 44, just across the 45-yard line. Charlton whips it to the far side. He's got an open target. That's Ben Gormley, and Gormley has the first down yardage and then some.
CBC was successful on that play because they were able to beat the blitz that came from the corner, sneaking down the line. You see on the replay, Colin West sneaking in on the blitz on that bubble screen type play.
Gormley picks up almost 15 yards. It's another cadet first down. Charlton back to it, 3-step drop. He's got plenty of time, slings it to the far side, and nothing doing as that one will fall incomplete. Cameron Babb, the super sophomore, the intended target that time, and that's a young man who's put up some impressive numbers this year.
I think Charlton had too much time on his hand for that pass. As you get a look at head coach Scott Pengel, you know, Pengel, what could you do for CBC? 13-0 this season, 81-16 in his career for the Cadets.
Better than an 83% winning percentage since he took over the CBC program. Now Charlton calls his own number and finds success going right through the heart of the Jags defense, and he'll be maybe a yard short of the first down marker. A great run by the QB.
Charlton sells the run to the left and pulls it back in. As I mentioned earlier, they're stretching the field out to make that play up the middle. Charlton picks up 9. It's 3rd and 1.
Charlton in the championship game a year ago was 17 of 22, 220 through the air and 3 touchdowns. Right now, they're getting it done on the ground, and Trey Bryant is going to take it to the house. He dances his way in from 21 yards out for CBC's first touchdown of the night.
Trey Bryant just made an ankle breaker move at the 15-yard line, something that you see only in John Madden football.
I don't know. Is that the X button or the square? I don't know which one.
I think he went X and square right there.
You got to press both buttons to get a move like that. Bryant, 21 yards to the house, and just like that, the defending state champs are up early 6-0 here, awaiting the extra point coming from Otto Etzel. Be out of the hold of Michael England. The hold is good, the snap was good, and so is the extra point. And just like that, the Cadets are up 7-0, John. And that was as good a drive as you could hope for if you were a fan of the purple-clad Cadets.
Hey, an almost 4-minute drive. You keep the aggressive Blue Springs defense out on the football field. We talked about how they stretched the defense out to the left on consecutive plays. They kept running to the left, running to the left. Charlton gets 9 up the middle. You know, CBC's first drive, that's the first drive you want as a defending champion.
CBC is riding a 27-game winning streak into tonight's game, and you know they want to run that number up at least one more tonight. Bring that trophy back home to CBC. 13-0 on the year and looking to make it 14-0. Trey Bryant, not a surprise that he hits the end zone first tonight, but a lot of that drive should be credited to Blake Charlton. The quarterback made some heady plays, some good throws, and he called his own number when he needed to. So Otto Etzel set to kick this one away. The kick returner, Ricky Nichols, and 2 other back. 3 men back deep, only 4 up on the 50-yard line for the Jags. This kick angling to the near side, short and out of bounds, but he tried to field it, so it'll be a long field to go here as they'll take over at the 11-yard line. And we get our first look at the Jaguars offense. The Jags, an undefeated and perfect season so far, 13-0. They will be led out by their starting quarterback, number 7, Noah Nigro. Noah Nigro on the season, 192 attempts, 108 completions for 1,577 yards, 26 touchdowns and only 6 turnovers, as you see the signal caller for the Jags. He'll send a couple of men in motion here. 8:01 to play here in quarter number 1. They'll go with the spread formation here, and Nigro looks to get to work quickly, and he'll test the right side of the line, and the Cadets will have none of it. Big stop up front that time by 99, Dominique Gatewood. And here's a look at the starting lineup for the Jags. We told you about the quarterback Nigro. The offensive line is Johnson, Griffin, Twy, Greenwood, and Mann. The receivers, Hawkins, Lamb, Nichols, and the big star at wideout, Briley Moore McKinney. We'll talk to you more about him as the game goes on. And then Adam Cofield, the running back. Now give him 2 yards, John, on the first down carry, so 2nd down and 8, ball on the 13. Nigro will give to Cofield, and he dances forward, gets a couple more yards here, and it'll be 3rd down. Defensively for CBC, they'll line up like this. Clay Stalling plays a linebacker, and they've got a couple of down linemen, Gatewood, Taylor, and Bledsoe. Their other linebackers, Burke, Speltz, Zmuda. Then the corners are Davis and Babb, Anderson and Brent Bledsoe, the safeties for head coach Scott Pingle. Third down, and the first pass attempt is a good one right up the middle of the field. Running across the 50-yard line is number 4. That's Briley Moore McKinney. John, you told me before we went and we started this game, he's going to be one to watch tonight.
Sure is. He comes in making 35 catches on the season, 616 yards. And Briley Moore McKinney just ran right up the seam. Nobody from the Cadets were able to follow him up the field for a big hit play. Gets him into CBC territory.
Talk about big hits. It's a young man that averages 17.5 yards per catch, and a lot of that is after contact. Twins to the top of the formation. 2 tight ends, and the give is to Cofield. And Cofield finds a seam. He's up to the 30. Tackled down around the 31-yard line. It's another first down for the Jags.
Straight blocking from the line of scrimmage, pushing that CBC Cadet front 3 backwards as we get a look. The snap was bobbled, but really open up a seam on the right side of that offensive line. Getting to the second level, you were forcing Anderson to make a tackle, who plays safety for CBC.
This is a veteran club on both sides of the ball for Blue Springs South. 9 returning starters on both sides of the ball. Nigro hands it off to Cofield again. They try to block the right side. He cuts it back against the grain, drives across the 20-yard line, and gets tackled just short of the 18. Give him about 9 yards on the first down carry.
Cofield goes to the right. He gets a block from Hawkins on the right-hand side, but he decided to cut it back up to the middle of the field, who was able to get close to first down yardage.
And just like Trey Bryant on CBC's first series, you can tell Cofield already winded. These teams had 2 weeks off.
Adrenaline is making these guys tired, no doubt.
All right, second down and short. Here it comes again to the near side. Cofield dives underneath the bottom of the pile. Dominique Gatewood, a 6'2" senior defensive lineman for CBC, in on the stop. And finally, just like Bryant, the hand goes to the side of the helmet, and he'll come out to catch his breath. Replacing him at the running back position will be number 23. That's Caleb Hutzel. So Hutzel in, and see if we don't see a little bit more of Nigro's arm here with the featured back out of the game.
Nigro also runs the football. You have to be aware of that as well.
First down and 10, ball on the 18 now. He'll go ahead and give it to Hutzel. A nice spin move before the linebackers for CBC finally get there. It's great yardage again on first down, John, almost 7 yards. And when you get 5+ on first down, it totally changes what you can do on second and third.
Todd Schumacher and myself talked about that in the last game versus Lamar and Malden. Lamar did the same thing, big yardage on first down. You've seen it here on this drive from Blue Springs South.
6 yards on the carry, the first carry of the night for Caleb Hutzel. They'll empty out the backfield. Nigro lines up as a wide receiver. It's a wildcat now for Cofield. He comes behind his quarterback, blocking downfield for him, and he'll dive forwards out of bounds. Looks like it might have been enough for a first down, or did he step out just shy? Here's the replay. You see the wildcat here.
Good block from the offensive line. Got a block from Briley Moore McKinney. Achilles Griffin out there making blocks. And when you're talking about the offensive lineman getting downfield, making blocks, it makes the running back's job that much easier.
And they're willing to work that much harder when they see the big guys up front paving the road. It's going to be third down and 1 here. Ball on the 9-yard line. Chance for 4 more shots at the end zone for the Jags if they get the 1 yard. That time they're able to do it. A nice bit of running again, but this time it's Jerome Hawkins, and you've said it, John, he's kind of an X factor for this team. They like to line him up in a bunch of different places.
This particular play, they lined him in the backfield next to Cofield. Hawkins on the season carried the ball 50 times for 419 yards, almost 8.4 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns from that position.
He averaged 30 yards on the ground and 13 or 14 yards as a wide receiver as well. Nigro now moves two receivers to the far side of the field. First and goal from the 5, under 3 minutes to go in the quarter, and they've got him stopped in the backfield. Hawkins can't go anywhere. The Cadets' speed getting there in a hurry that time. Cameron Babb, along with a couple other Cadets, in on the stop.
Get a look at this from the backside. Unfortunately, Cofield wasn't able to hold up his block at the line of scrimmage. This play, I think, was a mix-up from the very beginning. We saw two players run from the right side of the field to the left. It left the offensive lineman exposed on the right side. He had no help.
Jags offense averaged close to 45 points a game through districts and through the postseason. Trips now to the left for Nigro, and he'll go that way. Rolls to the strong side of the field. Fires with the left hand, too tall. He cannot connect with Jerome Hawkins.
As this play extended out and Nigro waited for someone to get open, as we get a chance to see it again, Nigro continued to roll. I think if Nigro turns his shoulders upfield, he might get close to the goal line.
Give credit to the Cadets defensive back, Rashawn Davis, a 6-foot senior, who got his hands up and into the passing lane, tipped that one all the way back out of the end zone. So now it's third down. 4 receivers in the formation for Nigro with 2:13 on the clock. They'll bring it to the near side. It's a quick shovel to the outside. Diving at the pylon and in for 6. It's a touchdown for Blue Springs South. It's a touchdown for Adam Cofield. Cofield takes it in for his 14th touchdown of the season.
Good play by Nigro off the shotgun with the little forward pitch to Cofield to take it in for 6.
It's not the traditional shovel pass, but it's almost the same thing.
Yeah, because it's almost a read option.
That one was backwards, though, a little bit. Looked like it came behind him, so that would have been a live ball. On to kick is Jacob Roark. That one's low. It hits the crossbar. No good. The ball batted around, and an unfortunate turn of events in what the Blue Springs South team thought was going to be a tie ball game, and now they trail by 1. A special teams miscue makes it CBC 7, Blue Springs South 6. We'll be back more of the Class 6 Show Me Bowl Championship after this on MSHSAA, a part of the NFHS network.
That's almost 6 minutes. That was almost 6 minutes. Yeah, that's
Blue Springs South offense answers the bell after a sustained drive by the Cadets, the defending Class 6 champs. The Jags come up with a big drive of their own. Only miscue was the fact that they weren't able to convert on the PAT. It's Anderson again on the kick return for CBC. Some great blocking by the CBC special teams before he's finally driven out of bounds around the 30-yard line, and that's where the Cadets offense will get back to work here. And I'm afraid Anderson may be hurt down on the Blue Springs sideline as he's reaching for his left ankle.
So it'll be an official's timeout on the field. Anderson down on the near side sideline. Corey, we talked about the offense of Blue Springs South, and we talked about the first drive by CBC. Blue Springs South gets the ball almost 6 minutes and drives 85 yards to go in for the touchdown.
Is there any better defense than a 6-minute drive that ends with a touchdown?
I know one thing. If I'm a big offensive line and I keep a small defensive unit out on the field for 6 minutes at a clip, I'm going to wear teams out.
In the fourth quarter, it may be a very different game. And now Anderson being helped off. He's got help on either side of him, and he's kind of gingerly walking on that left ankle. Not sure how he got rolled up. It happened on the Jaguar side of the field right under our broadcast position. So the Cadets offense will come back out, get back to work. We talked to these coaches on the phone this week, and maybe we'll see what happened here. Again, great blocking for the Cadets. You see the blocks thrown there, and Anderson going out of bounds. And
I think when he turned upfield, he lost his balance a little bit, and he might have made his own ankle-breaking play.
He may have. 1st and 10 now. Charlton, pump and go. Charlton down the far side of the field. He's got a man. It's a first down and more as he hooks up with Cameron Babb, the sophomore. Almost 36 yards on the pitch and catch between the future Tiger pitcher and the sophomore wideout, Cameron Babb.
Watch how much time Charlton has on this play. Had time to step up in the pocket, no pressure whatsoever.
Now
Charlton fumbles.
He loses it. Charlton spun, and you could just see the ball go straight up into the air. Do the Jags have it? They do.
Sorry, I stepped on you there.
That's all right. Everybody's having fun up here. Jim's having fun. John's having fun. I'm having fun. But right now, the Jags are having fun because the CBC offense just hit him for a big-time pass play, and their always steady quarterback saw a helmet hit him right on the hand. He coughs up the ball, and Blue Springs offense is right back out on the turf.
Free safety Jake Lamb, 108 tackles on the season, leading tackler for the team, put his helmet right on the football in Charlton's hand. It'll be a first down for Blue Springs South.
Lamb had one forced fumble coming into tonight. Now he's got two, and they go back to the rock-steady running back, Adam Cofield. Cofield tests the left side and gets about 6 yards on first down. Boy, his cutback is impressive. He'll start to the right, come back to the left, and then finish on the right.
One thing you notice about Cofield here tonight, he's been very patient. You notice with running backs, they'll wait for a hole to open. A patient running back will. But when you're very anxious to get to the line of scrimmage, you notice players will run right into the back of the offensive line. Cofield, very patient so far tonight.
He's going to get the rock again. He goes to the left side. The Cadets, though, meet him in a hurry. CBC's defense not fooled on that one. Number 15, Brandon Zmuda, a 6'1 junior, in on the stop. Cofield going nowhere on that one. Give him maybe a yard and a half. It'll be 3rd and 2.
Zmuda and Speltz were there. Speltz, the leading tackler from the linebacking core. The linebacking core for CBC, 16 sacks on the season.
Linebackers for the Cadets know how to get to the football. Will they be able to do it here on 3rd down and 2? Ball on the 33-yard line. Nigro sends a man in motion and gives it to him on a jet sweep. But look at the speed of CBC. He has nowhere to go. John, he is swarmed under. Clayton stalling in on the stop, and there was just nowhere to go. A well-designed play for Savion Carverin, and he couldn't go anywhere. Pardon me, Hawkins.
Hawkins came from the slot position, ran across the field, took the handoff from Nigro, and the play kind of stalled out because they were running to the near side sideline, and the blocks were just being pushed back by CBC.
The S on their shoulder pad looked like a 5 to me. I won't make that mistake again, and we don't have time to make another mistake because it's the end of the first quarter. We move on to quarter number 2, and a great one in Class 6. CBC 7, Blue Springs South 6. More from the Dome in a minute. Show Me Bowl 2015 rolls on in downtown St. Louis as we begin quarter number 2. Blue Springs South forced to punt here after they turned over the Cadets. A fumble out of the hands of Blake Charlton, but they can't do anything with it. The punt is away, and end-over-end kick will roll all the way to the 20. Slipping down, trying to field it is CBC, and they will have no return on this one. A lot of pushing and shoving at the end of this one. Their usual return man, Anderson, turned an ankle, so Cameron Babb on the return that time. Nothing he could do with that one.
Babb made a good play picking up the ball there, and just he loses his balance. The best thing you could have done there was just take it to the turf.
You are watching live coverage of the Missouri State High School Activities Association Football Championship on the NFHS Network. NFHSNetwork.com/MSHSAA is your destination for the most comprehensive coverage of MSHSAA Championship action. For live games, to the full game replays and highlights, you can check it all out at NFHSNetwork.com/MSHSAA. Blake Charlton, the Cadets, back to work. Trey Bryant, the stiff arm, and the 10 yards, 12 yards, 13 yards on the first down carry, but there's a flag on the play.
Flag all the way back at the 21 in that area of holding.
You think that's also about where Bryant got the stiff arm out there. Don't know that he got a hand in the face mask. He does a little bit there on 34. We'll wait and see what Gary Ansbach has. Face mask on the defense obviously wasn't in the instant replay we saw. Probably happened away from the point of attack.
And that'll tack on 15 yards to an early first down run from Bryant.
Yeah, Bryant basically had 15 yards, maybe just a little shy of that on first down. So all of a sudden they double the distance and get near the 50-yard line here. CBC out of the Metro Catholic Conference. You see a lot of that conference, John. There's a lot of good football played in the MCC, and they've got another team even in this championship weekend as Bryant gets stuck that time. Boy, dropping the boom that time was Jacob Lamb. Wow, that was a good stick on Bryant.
Lamb came up from his safety position to make the hit. You talk about the Metro Catholic Conference as we watch this play by Bryant, and really laying down a hammer was Jake Lamb on that one.
Trey Bryant versus Kickapoo had 11 rushes, 187 yards, and 3 TDs. This one is batted up in the air, and it's picked off. Picked off by Blue Springs South. Coming up with it is number 49, Hunter Jenkins.
Jenkins on the season, 107 tackles, 4 sacks. He was the leader in that linebacking core we talked about for tackles, and that's the second turnover by the Cadets here tonight. Those can come back to haunt this team if Blue Springs South can turn that positive play into something more.
Hunter Jenkins, a 5'11" senior, comes up with interception number 2 on the 2015 season, and it is a great one because everything was going CBC's way on this drive. They had a big first down play, a big penalty, and now Blue Springs South has the ball yet again. Cofield back to work, and he's got a big gainer, slashing the Cadets defense. He goes down for another first down. 18 yards on the carry, and Cofield finding success between the tackles.
That's where you're going to find much of your success with some of those guys up front. We talked about the center, Elijah Twy, Achilles Griffin, Bryce Greenwood. These are all monsters in the middle.
Twy, 6'5". Some of the other guys say 6'4", 6'6". They've got some beef up front. Cofield this time stretching the play out. The CBC defense trying to get him to run across the field instead of north and south, and they do that time.
Gary Anderson making the tackle.
Good to see him back in.
Yeah, he missed the tackle actually in the backfield, but it's good to see him either way out there.
Trey Bryant, 6 carries for 41 yards in the first quarter. Cofield, the opposite number, 9 for 53. So both of these running backs doing what we expected here in the early going. Out of the pistol now. They'll give it to Cofield again. Boy, John, you hit the nail on the head a little while ago. He is patient and mature. I hear great coaches talk about good running backs having vision, but vision without patience means nothing. You might see the hole, but things change so quickly. He does a great job of finding that small crease and then exploiting it in a hurry.
He's got that good second step. He's good at the jump stop and changing directions once he comes to that stop either way. He's a scary running back. We're looking at 2 scary running backs for both sides here tonight.
Cofield stands in behind Noah Nigro. 2 wide receivers to the bottom of the formation, and this time it's the Cadet speed again. There was nowhere for Cofield to go. He is snowed under by multiple Cadets. Anthony Tillman, 23, Clayton Stalling, pardon me, in on the stop. I hate it when I misread those multiple numbers for teams. You get to Class 6. In Class 2, you don't see multiple numbers.
CBC would put 9 guys in the box on that short 3rd down and 2 play.
That'll bring out the punter, Corey Jackson. Jackson awaits the snap from Jake Lamb. Spiraling punt's going to go all the way back
out of the end zone. Wow.
Yep.
That was an impressive punt.
He got underneath that one. And CBC able to avoid the turnover, costing them points, and that's a couple of times now, John, that they've been able to dodge that bullet. With 9:06 to play here in quarter number 2, we will be right back. More from Show Me Bowl on MSHSAA.TV. Trey Bryant behind the left side of his offensive line will pick up 3, almost 4 yards on first down as we continue in quarter number 2 here of the Class 6 championship. Another look at the future Nebraska Cornhusker, and almost a face mask on that one.
almost. You know, I could tell you one thing. We talked about a physical football game. I don't know about you, but I can hear some helmets smacking up here at our broadcast location.
And we are not exactly down on the ground. And now the Cadets and Coach Scott Pingle change things up again. They switch back to the big back, if you will. Number 31, Caleb Allen. And
watch the play here. Watch, they pick him like wrapping a body around him, and they couldn't take him down.
We need Todd Schumacher to come back to talk wrestling with this, because that looked like a wrestling move. Allen again on the carry.
Leave the smackdown on him.
He picks up almost 5, give him 4 yards, 2nd down and 6. Ball on the 37-yard line, and see if this Jaguar defense dials up another blitz. They'll rush 4 this time. Charlton has all day. He's able to pick his spot and does. He's got 1st down yardage and more as he hits Gary Anderson. And great to see Anderson after he goes out with the injury. He comes back in, and there you get a good look at the head coach for Blue Springs South, Greg Oder, in his 15th year. Over 115 wins. Coached 3 years at Plattsburgh for taking over the Jags. And boy, Blue Springs, you said it, they like to attack. That's exactly what the coaches dialed up that time.
3 of the Blue Springs South defensive players were in the backfield before Charlton could even hand the ball off to Caleb Allen as we get a look at it.
Colin West finishes Allen off, another one of the leading tacklers on this team. 86 tackles, a sack, a pick, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. He's done a little bit of everything for the Blue Springs South defense. Now, quick little screen to the near side and a couple of good moves, and all of a sudden Gormley running away from the defense before they finally catch up to him. Almost 25 yards as Charlton finds the big tight end moving to the outside, and that's a big chunk of yardage for CBC.
Blue Springs sent the blitz through the middle with Hunter Jenkins and Colin West. A good block was made on the outside.
Cameron Babb with a great seal block, and now they give it back to Bryant. Tries to go up the hash marks, and he'll pick up about half the necessary yardage. He'll get close to 5 yards, and it'll be 2nd down and 5.
I don't know if you noticed here tonight, but I think some of these kids are playing on ice skates because their cleats are not taken to the turf. We're seeing a lot of these kids sliding on the turf here at the Edward Jones Dome.
Charlton, 3-step drop, flushed out of the pockets, rolls to the far side, and he'll go ahead and take it himself, and he'll be right at the stick for another CBC 1st down. I've seen the same thing, John. You're right, and I just don't understand it because, honestly, I'm from down in southwest Missouri. I can't imagine as many turf fields as there are down there that they often play on any other surface in Kansas City or St. Louis, so I would think everybody is pretty comfortable on this sort of turf.
CBC has a field turf surface in which they bought from the Superdome the year after Alabama won its national championship.
Wow, that's some sacred turf there. Trey Bryant trying to make another memory of his own here after winning a state championship a year ago. He's able to push the pile forward. He's 2nd down and 5. Again, ball now spotted on the 13-yard line. We've got a timeout, Blue Springs South. I think this is a timeout, John, just defensively, that they need an opportunity to catch their breath here. We want to remind you, the Missouri State High School Activities Association, our friends at MSHSAA want to thank Wilson. The power of teamwork. Wilson is proud to be the official ball of the 2015 MSHSAA Show Me Bowl. But this is just kind of a, you got to stop, catch your breath, and collect yourself here, because CBC, if they don't turn the ball over, they just seem to run down the field.
And it's running downhill, too. And, you know, you're getting a lot of momentum from both sides, really. Both teams getting to that 2nd level. You see occasionally the defensive lines making a stand, forcing plays in the backfield, but really both sides here tonight playing smash mouth football, drive control football. CBC has now had the ball nearly 6 minutes in the quarter.
Well, and it was a 6-minute drive for Blue Springs that brought us close to the end of quarter number 1. They continue to work it here to Trey Bryant. Bryant pinballs off one would-be tackler, another would-be tackler, and waltzes into the end zone for another Cadet touchdown. A 13-yard run for Trey Bryant, and it's 13-6 CBC. The Cadet fans, they've got the fat heads and the white t-shirts, and they're making some noise for their team.
Watch Bryant on this play. He's going to cut back to the middle of the field. He's going to follow Max Durrell, and he's going to follow his big offensive tackle into the house for 6.
Extra point on the way. The kick is up and good, and just like that, with 6 minutes and 13 seconds to play until halftime, CBC adds to their lead. They're up 14-6 over Blue Springs South. The Blue Springs South Jaguars lead the all-time series with CBC, 2 wins to none, but right now the Cadets control the Class 6 championship game 14-6 here in quarter number 2. Otto Etzel set to kick it away again for Scott Pingle's Cadets. He puts the left foot to it, sends it right down the middle of the field, and it bounces out of play for a touchback. Blue Springs South will take it over at the 20-yard line. And John, there is no magic or no secret formula for this. We are seeing exactly what we expect to see from these two teams. CBC right now just getting the better of it, I think. Right
now, I think Blue Springs South is playing on the conservative side of football. They have not passed the ball as much as I thought they might to try to loosen up this CBC offense or defense. Let's see if they maybe pass the ball a time or two in this series.
Noah Nigro only had 2 pass attempts in the first quarter. The southpaw connects here and almost on demand, as John Edwards says they need to start passing the ball. They do just that. They connect here. Watch again, Nigro. The southpaw
play action rolls to the right. So he, as a lefty, he's not throwing across his body on the play. Goes a little sidearm to get the ball in there for the completion of Jake Lamb.
Lamb's first catch, and it's 2nd down and 6 now. Wide receivers to the top and the bottom of the formation. Cofield now off the left hip of Nigro. The give is not a give. It's a turnover. Miscommunication between the quarterback and the running back, and the Cadets have it. It's the big man, Dominique Gatewood, with the fumble recovery.
Nigro holds the ball in the stomach just a second too long, and the ball falls to the feet of Cofield, and it's a turnover. The first turnover for Blue Springs South here tonight.
We've seen it in the Webb City game too. When you run that read option, when you try to put it in the guy's belly and try to magically bring it back out at the last second, sometimes bad things happen. Dominique Gatewood says it's a good thing for them. CBC now basically sitting on the 20-yard line, knocking on the door of the red zone, up 14-6 here. 5:28 to play until halftime. So Charlton and the Cadet offense, no rest for the wicked. They get back to work here. He puts it on his hip. Great play action. He's got all the time in the world, and finally the clock runs out. The ball is loose, and just like that, they turn it over. No, it should be an incomplete pass. It went forward.
I do not agree with that call, and here's why. Charlton had his arm in the air, and because he was hit, the ball went forward. As the official gives the explanation on the field, I think CBC gets a bailout on that play.
Well, it's not the tuck rule, but it is an opportunity for CBC to stay in this one. Now 2nd down and 10 after the incomplete pass for Charlton. They go with the smart play. They give it to Trey Bryant. He'll chew up almost 7 yards on 2nd down. That may be one to hold on to for later, because if they get points out of this drive, and that's the difference in this one, it could be a haunting moment for the Jaguars. 3rd down and 3 now. Shotgun for Charlton. He claps and he gets the snap. They'll give it to Allen. He hits a wall, spins off, and finally gets socked backwards. A trio of Jaguars there to meet him. Stopped in his tracks by Hunter Jenkins and others.
Doesn't get enough yards for the first down. Actually barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Forced CBC into a field goal here.
Well, Otto Etzel on to attempt a field goal that is shorter than most NFL extra points now.
And we've seen NFL kickers missing a ton of those this season.
And now we seem to have some confusion, or do we have a timeout? CBC, Scott Pingler, are going to go ahead and call a timeout with 4:15 to go in this one. Want to remind you that tonight's game is also available for all subscribers via our mobile website. Log on to MSHSNetwork.com for your smartphone or tablet and view live games or replays from anywhere. Go to MSHSNetwork.com. Well, both of these running backs for CBC, John, have had huge games to get them here to the Dome. We mentioned a very good matchup with Kickapoo, where Trey Bryant was the star. 11 carries, 187 yards and 3 touchdowns. Caleb Allen had to do work as well. 19 rushes, 147 yards, and a TD against Kickapoo. Bryant has definitely been featured today, maybe a little bit more than Allen, but he's the type of back that I think as the game goes on may become more and more effective.
Well, it's kind of like the thunder and lightning that the Giants ran several years ago when they ran the big back Brandon Jacobs, and then he went to the off-back speed guy.
And right as Charlton was getting the ball snapped, Blue Springs called a last-second timeout. Not sure what they saw there that they did not like, but head coach Greg Oder gets the timeout. Oder was at Plattsburgh before coming to the Jaguars. He's a Truman State alum. Came to the school in 1992 as the defensive coordinator, and this is a school that opened its doors in 1992. It's a short history of Blue Springs South football, but in that time, it's been a very successful history.
It's a successful program at Blue Springs South, and the program continues to grow. Something that we see now happening all across the Kansas City area. 5 more high schools opening up. Population in the Kansas City area continues to grow, and football is only going to get better. And not just football, all the sports across the state of Missouri.
Blue Springs South basketball is the reigning Class 5 boys state champions. They had a great game at Show Me Showdown a year ago. They took home the state championship hardware. The football team looking to try and keep up, but they need a stop here. 4th down and 3. 4:13 on the clock, and there will be no field goal attempt here as Blake Charlton and the Cadets are on the field here. 2 receivers stacked to the top, 1 to the bottom. They'll give it to Bryant. He bounces off one tackler, dances around another, uses the back judge for a screen and gets into the end zone. Touchdown, CBC.
Hey, who pressed the arrow button and the X button again? Because I'll tell you what moves from Trey Bryant.
I know it's a phrase that I use a lot, and all announcers have go-to words and adjectives. I say dances a lot, but boy, the footwork by Trey Bryant. You know, my mother-in-law and father-in-law, they watch Dancing with the Stars all the time. Trey Bryant would impress them tonight, because this is nothing but make you miss here, make you miss there, dives around the official, and he hits pay dirt.
I'd like to see him salsa against Victor Cruz of the Giants.
Otto Etzel's extra point is up and good, and CBC is cruising right now. They've got the lead 21-6 over a Blue Springs South team that has collected both of their state championships in their school history against these CBC Cadets. So trying to erase some bad history are CBC, and there you see Trey Bryant, number folded over. He looked like he had 0 on there for a minute, but he's been good for a couple of touchdowns tonight, and he has been as advertised. Him and Caleb Allen sitting over on the CBC sideline, and Otto Etzel back out to kick this one away, the left-footed kicker for CBC, and he kicks left-footed. All 3 quarterbacks for Blue Springs South are left-handed. You know, that's just something you don't see every day.
You know that 10 or 12% of the population is left-handed.
Apparently a lot of them live in Blue Springs.
I do the important things left-handed. I eat my dinner with my left hand.
Deep kick. Etzel sends that one spinning out of the back of the end zone, and with 4:08 to go, the Cadets defense now will come back to work, and boy, turnovers just kind of bouncing all around the field here in quarter number 2.
3 total turnovers, 2 by CBC, 1 by Blue Springs South. CBC is able to turn their turnover into a touchdown, something that Blue Springs South wasn't able to do in getting those turnovers.
It will sound silly to say, but this really has been a resurgence or a breakout year for the Jaguars, as now Nigro goes back to work from the air, and boy, you cannot arm tackle this runner on the outside. What a great job. It is Moore McKinney. You got to wrap him up. You got to hit him low, John.
I'll tell you what, Rashawn Davis just learned that Briley Moore McKinney is the real deal, because he tried to tackle him and he said, "Get out of my way."
Well, the problem is he tried to hit him. He didn't tackle him. If he tackled him, the play would have stopped there. And that's one of my pet peeves. Don't hit a guy, tackle a guy. It's a completely different thing. First down for the Jags now, 1st and 10, just short of the 40-yard line. Nigro, that one may have been tipped at the line of scrimmage. It was a duck intended for Moore McKinney, and it goes nowhere.
I think Nigro just mishandled the ball. I don't think anybody touched it. I think the ball just slipped out of his hand.
When we were talking about this team, obviously both teams 13-0 this year, but this is a team that since their state championship in 2011, coming into the 2015 season, was exactly 500. Since winning it all, they had 16 wins and 16 losses, and then this year blow up for an undefeated 13-0 season. It's Hutzel now trying the middle of the defense. He goes to the right, cuts back to the left. And again, the second back for the Jags has success. And it'll be 3rd down and about 3.
You want to talk about their record over the last couple of years? How about last year? This team was 5-6.
Elijah Twy, one of the big offensive linemen, knocking cadets out of the way for Hutzel. 3rd down and 3 here. Nigro, the quarterback keeper, he'll have the 1st down and more. They'll give him forward progress all the way to about the 46-yard line, and it'll be another Jags 1st down.
Good play by Nigro, following his blocks up the field. He gets hit and in the middle of the field by Zamuda, and then Derek Speltz makes the tackle.
We've talked about Adam Cofield time and time again, but Nigro no slouch. 84 carries, 590 yards, an average of 7 yards a rush, and 6 touchdowns on the ground for the quarterback for Blue Springs South, who now sends 3 wide receivers to his left, 1 receiver to the far side of the field on 1st down. And this time they'll set up a little screen to Cofield, and he's able to break 1 tackle, break 2 tackles, and get 12 yards on 1st down. I like the way this young man runs with the ball, and behind the play, John, one of the CBC players is down and writhing in a bit of pain on about the 48-yard line.
Not very often do you see high school football teams run screen plays out of the backfield to your running back. But I'll tell you what, Blue Springs South was successful on that play. They pick up a 1st down, and they need to get into the end zone here because CBC deferred to the second half.
That was a pro-style play by a bunch of high school players. Very impressive that time as Cofield and his teammates get some water, and they are still attending.
Brian Bledsoe is down on the field for CBC. Bledsoe on the season, 70 tackles and 2 interceptions from his defensive tackle position.
I tell you what, I read in the St. Louis paper in the last couple of days the struggles that the CBC defense has had, and they've lost a couple of key players. Kevin Kirkbride suffered an ACL injury against Jeff City in week 2. He had infections. He doesn't have an ACL anymore. It's gone. That ligament's gone in his knee. They had a senior defensive lineman, Nick Wheeler, who was leading the team in sacks with 10 a year ago. Doctors found a blood clot in his brain after the SLU High game in October. He goes out. So this is a defense that has really had to have a next man up mentality and find guys to replace real leaders. And now, thankfully, we see this young man getting up under his own power.
Not only that, you talk about the injury factor, but they also graduated 5 of their front 7 from last season. So this is a team that's very young up front, and it's been trial by fire all season long.
Bledsoe getting helped to his side of the field, and it is a great crowd that we've got in here for this one. I haven't talked a whole lot about attendance today. It's been good, but this is definitely the best crowd of the night. It's what you expect for the biggest class in the state. A lot of St. Louis football fans on the far side of the field tonight, rooting for the CBC Cadets. So first down and 10, ball on the 35 for Nigro and the Jags. The give to Caulfield. He's off the left side and he gets knocked down. Nice angle of attack that time. CBC able to take out the legs of the running back, and that's Brent Bledsoe that time on the stop.
Yeah, you get a look at this. He goes sweeping over to the left-hand side of the field. Good patience once again at the line of scrimmage. And Brent Bledsoe makes the tackle from his safety position. 70 tackles on the season, 2 interceptions for the safety.
Only one common opponent between these two Class 6 schools this year, and that was the Jeff City Jays, and another dynasty. When you talk about high school football, that pass incomplete. Bring up 3rd down and 6. Both of these ball clubs played Jeff City. Blue Springs South beat them 48-21. CBC beat them 49-14. So I don't know what you can extrapolate out of that.
Yeah, not a lot to bring out of that one. Gavin Burks, the linebacker for CBC, got a push from the offensive lineman right into Noah Nigro's face, forced them to step up and make that pass maybe just a second too soon.
We've talked about this defensive front for CBC being undersized, but boy, they let them all through that time to set up the screen again, and the Jags run it to perfection. This time they're able to hit Hawkins. Jerome Hawkins, the 5'9" junior, picks it up. It's another Blue Springs South first down.
Gonna watch this play. The whole offensive line just let everybody from CBC go, and Nigro is able to make the pass out to Hawkins, who gets enough yards for the first down.
It was Ole blocking. They just let him go by because they wanted to pick up guys in the second level of the defense to block on the screen. Nigro collects the high snap. Cofield does the rest. Touchdown, Blue Springs.
The pass game is now opening up the run game a little bit more. Noah Nigro really growing as this game is progressing, completing passes, screen plays, stretching the CBC defense out, and getting Blue Springs South into the end zone with just about 90 seconds to go in the quarter.
20 yards on the run by Adam Cofield, and Cadets had shots at him. They just weren't able to get there in time. I'll say it again, you can't arm tackle some of these Jags, and Cofield is one of them. The kick is up, and it splits the uprights for Jacob Roark, and it is a 21-13 ball game here with 96 seconds to go until halftime.
An exciting first half.
A very exciting first half. You look at what CBC had to do a year ago. That was a great matchup too, with them and Rockhurst, and 2 of the stars of that game are here tonight, and they're a big part of the success. I told you Blake Charlton had over 220 yards in the air and 3 touchdowns. Trey Bryant in that game only had 12 carries for 38 yards and was held out of the end zone. That has not been the case tonight. Bryant, a much bigger part of this game, not surprising anybody.
We're seeing 2 of the best running backs in the state of Missouri in Cofield and Trey Bryant, and really this could be one of those games that could be the last possession wins the way we're getting it here in the first half.
It has been all you could hope for in this one. CBC will send Trey Bryant back out, set up deep on the return along with Gary Anderson. The kick is up, and it'll come to Anderson's side of the field. He collects it on the 2 and will go all the way across the grain, cut up at the 10-yard line, slide down, and then finally be tackled on the 15. A short 7-yard return that time for Anderson, and he kind of slipped down, and that just takes all the momentum right out from under you.
CBC with 2 timeouts left here with under 90 seconds to go. Will they look to pass the ball to get downfield for another scoring drive?
I'd love to see them start to look toward the sophomore, Cameron Babb. Man, in the quarterfinal against Hazelwood Central, he had 5 catches for 204 yards and 3 TDs in the 47-0 rout. You know, CBC routed a lot of teams this year. I mean, that's not the only one.
The only team that really gave them a struggle was Kickapoo in the semifinals. It was 14-14 at the half.
Allen now uses the stiff arm, gets out of bounds, hurdles some advertisements, and will stop the clock with 1:24.
Gotta be careful. CBC might need him for the track team this year.
I have no idea at this point in time, but I tell you what, this is a school like a lot of the schools that get here that look for multiple championships, and CBC has won any of a number of state championships in its history. Blue Springs South the same. We told you they're the Class 5 defending boys basketball champ. Trey Bryant now powers to the left side. He'll have first down yardage in the heady play here as he gets out of bounds, but there's a flag.
Flag dropped on the play near the 17-yard line. In that area holding as we get a look at the play from Trey Bryant, who sweeps it to the left. And sure enough, Max Durrell gets a handful of jersey as the flag goes down to his feet.
It was a great block, too, by Eric Swanson, 64, the offensive guard. This will bring him back on the spot foul, back him up.
That indicates the first down, and it'll take them back inside their own 10-yard line.
Yep, they'll spot the ball in between the 8 and the 9-yard line. So Charlton, quite a bit of field to work with, and only 1:17 on the clock. CBC with 2 timeouts, Blue Springs with 1. Second down and 17, ball on the 8. 3 wide receivers in the set. Charlton will go ahead and give it to Anderson busts a couple of Jaguars, bounces left and right, and gets part of that yardage they lost on the holding call back here.
Bryant and Anderson look identical.
They really do.
Side by side.
Well, the number looks identical too. It's just missing one piece to go from an 8 to a 9.
Bryant has black socks.
Oh, see?
So we'll have to key on that.
That's what a pro does. He looks at the accessories. Accessorize. Blake Charlton wants 8 yards, not black socks. 3rd and 8 from the 17. He's rushed out of the pocket. He's sacked. Dropped by Blue Springs, number 58, Elijah Twy. Twy, a 2-way starter for Blue Springs South. And that time he was unblocked and had a free shot at the CBC quarterback.
Twy came, he had nothing but him and dirt between Charlton, and Twy wrapped him up and dragged him down. Missed block.
Trey Bryant turns and puts his hands up like, who missed that block? And I'm afraid Trey's the one that missed that block.
Trey, I'm sorry, but I think you missed that one.
Timeout with 26 seconds of 4th and 17. Blue Springs South uses their last timeout.
But they'll get the ball back in relatively good field position. CBC will be punting out of their own end zone.
Following the timeout, the Cadets have 4th and 17 from their own 8-yard line.
Blake Charlton's the punter.
Blake Charlton, the starting quarterback. You see that a lot in high school football. That seems to be a position that kind of bleeds over. It's also great, too, because you never know when you can line up for a 4th down and then go ahead and pooch it. So Charlton stands on the U in St. Louis, a rugby-style kick, and Blue Springs almost got there. It'll bounce, and Ricky Nichols waits and then picks it up and dashes down the far side. Ricky Nichols waited, and then picks it up and burns CBC with a big return.
Give Ricky Nichols credit on this play. You know why? He let the CBC defenders come down the field before he picked it up. 3 guys had already run past him, and he had less guys to run through.
It's a numbers game, John, and that time he played the numbers and got a big-time run. They bring it all the way back to the 22-yard line. They only have 13 seconds, but with a quarterback like Nigro, that's all you need.
14-yard punt by Charlton on the play, and it was nearly blocked in the end zone.
I thought they were going to get it. Nigro with 3 receivers to the near side. They'll set up the screen and go. The throw to the far side, and it may have been picked off. No, it hits the ground. Incomplete, but a little trickery all of a sudden from Blue Springs South.
Give them credit. Why not? You're going to get one more play before the end of the quarter. Jake Lamb makes the pass completely across the field. Staying home on the play was Rashawn Davis. as he followed Cofield down the field. He stayed home.
Cofield had to turn into a defensive back because he had lost the battle for position on that one. Wasn't a bad throw for a guy that's not a quarterback.
Not bad at all. He had gloves on too.
6 seconds now, 2nd down and 10. 4 wideouts, and the officials whistle it dead.
Timeout, CBC, second charge.
Wow.
CBC will use their 2nd timeout here with 2nd down and 10, 6 seconds to go in this one. And Scott Pingle wants to talk to his team about something else here. Defensive coordinator for CBC is Butch Demovitz. You talked about it, John. Blue Springs South has a defense that loves to attack, That's been a hallmark for this CBC defense for a long time too, though.
It has been. CBC's always been driven on some of their offense, but their attack also comes from their defense, and the success of the offense does come sometimes from this defense. And tonight here defensively, you're getting to see 2 of the best in the area.
Coach Demovitz, the D coordinator for CBC, has coached in his career in 8 title games. Tonight makes number 9. And it looks like Blue Springs South is going to set up for a field goal try here. They're going to bring number 46 out. That is not the normal kicker. Roark is normally listed as the kicker. 46 is Bryce Stone. His kick is up. It hangs. Drifts to the left, but finds its way home as time expires.
39-yard field goal to end the quarter from a guy who isn't the normal kicker.
Yep, nowhere on the 2-deep chart will you find that young man, but he put 3 points on the board for Blue Springs South, and that's how we'll end the first half of play. Blue Springs had a misfire on an extra point. They get 3 points back here, but they trail the defending state champs 21-16 as we go into halftime here at the Edward Jones Dome in a game that we saw a little bit of everything, John. Some turnovers, some great running backs definitely featured in this one.
The dynamic running backs from both sides showing in the first half.
We will go ahead and step aside. We'll begin our halftime show after this break. You're watching all the live coverage from MSHSAA and the MSHSAA network. A balanced first half of offense between these 2 Class 6 teams as we've reached halftime in the Edward Jones Dome. CBC and Blue Springs putting on one heck of a show. 21-16 as Blue Springs South got a field goal at the buzzer, basically, John, to make this an even closer game.
A 39-yard field goal at that. It's not a chip shot that it's going to be real close. Actually, it was a lot of heckle and jekyll at the line of scrimmage. You saw CBC call a timeout as Blue Springs South was lining up in the offensive end, and you know, who's coaching who and who's going to outcoach who in the second half. And really, you want to talk about balance of a game. Both quarterbacks are 5 of 8 for passing. You talk about running backs. Cofield has 106 yards. Trey Bryant has 107 yards. 1 carry difference between the 2. This doesn't get any more even or more balance between these 2 teams that are here playing tonight.
Well, that's what we've seen out of every classification today other than maybe Class 2. Both of the games earlier today, Game 1 and Game 2, the 8-man in the Class 4, came down to the final possession, the final moments of the game. That may very well be what we see here, and that's where you kind of got to wonder right now. CBC has the advantage on the scoreboard. Blue Springs, we talked about it in the pregame. They're the bigger team. I wonder if that will pay any dividends for them in the final moments of this one.
Really, the key is who gets the CBC will get the ball to start the second half. They're up by 5 right now. The question is, will they continue to do what they've done, what was successful in the first half? Feed the ball to Trey Bryant, throw in a sprinkle pass here or there from Blake Charlton. But we'll see a lot of what we've been seeing for the first half, which is running the football.
Yep, a lot of running the football, and it made for 2 very quick quarters of play here at the Edward Jones Dome, and we haven't necessarily seen that all day today. I tell you what is interesting to me, though, is to see turnovers be a problem for these teams. There haven't been, though, a ton of points that have come from them. A lot of it's come in the middle of the field. We saw in a Webb City game earlier, turnovers on the 1-yard line. It hasn't been like that in this one, but still those turnovers, if you don't win that statistical category, a lot of times you don't win the ball game.
There's 3 turnovers between the two sides. CBC converted one of those turnovers into 7 points, and generally a team, teams that have explosive style offenses, they convert on those turnovers. Blue Spring South didn't, and they had they got 2 turnovers out of CBC in that first half. I'll be curious to see if either of the 2 coaches do anything differently in the second half.
Well, second half modifications or second half adjustments, I think, are always the hallmark of a great coaching staff. The trick is we've got 2 great coaching staffs here tonight in this one, so it will be that proverbial chess match to see who kind of moves some things around on the board. But still, at the end of the day, you know what got both of these teams here. You know what they're going to continue to do, and that's line up and run the football with their stars.
Absolutely. Big offensive line for CBC, big offensive line for Blue Spring South. Who's going to tire who out here as this game winds down?
Well, we will continue our halftime show here in St. Louis. It's been a good start to this one. We're wrapping up our 4th game before today, but the football doesn't end there. We're going to all be back here tomorrow and have 3 more championship games to bring you. Class 3, Class 1, and Class 5. As a matter of fact, the Class 5 team in tomorrow night's game, Chaminade, another member of the Metro Catholic Conference, is here watching CBC in a show of solidarity for the St. Louis teams.
Absolutely. It'll be an exciting time to see Chaminade, especially after the year that they had this season.
We'll be back with more of halftime from downtown St. Louis in just a minute. You're watching Show Me Bowl 2015 right here on MSHSAA.TV. The Jaguar Pride Marching Band entertaining the football fans here in the Edward Jones Dome as we are at halftime, and get ready to run you through some of the first half numbers, John. And you said balance was kind of the key word for the first half.
Rushing yards, CBC had 25 carries for 145 yards. Blue Spring South had 22 carries for 122 yards. On the passing side of the football, CBC 101 yards passing. Blue Spring South with 82 yards. Time of possession was led by Blue Spring South. They had the ball for 13 minutes and 16 seconds to 10:44 for CBC. And we talked about some of the numbers, and how even this is. It doesn't get any more even on paper than what we got going on here on the field.
2 scores in the first quarter for both these teams, and then they had 2 scores each in the second quarter. I mean, you just keep going back and forth, and it's definitely a heavyweight prize fight. Both of these fighters just kind of trading blows, and we'll see what comes of it when we get into the third quarter of action. But it's definitely been what we've wanted to see here as we wrap up this day 1 of coverage of Show Me Bowl 2015 on a Black Friday. When we come back, we'll visit with another one of our friends from the Missouri State High School Activities Association. Greg Stahl will be with us, and we'll talk a little bit about officials and wrestling and maybe even some tennis. All that and more as halftime continues here at the Edward Jones Dome. Welcome back inside the Edward Jones Dome for the 20th consecutive year, the home of Show Me Bowl. And this is the 2015 edition. At the half, CBC leads Blue Spring South. And I'm now joined by Greg Stahl, Assistant Executive Director with the Missouri State High School Activity Association. Greg, thanks for taking some time to visit with us.
Thanks for having me. Good to be with you guys.
Well, this is a great event, and this is an event that every year these football teams, these towns, these fans, they look forward to. But it's not something that just magically pops up. I know Harvey Richards worked a lot of hours trying to get ready for this. Tell us a little bit about the work that goes into pulling off an event of this magnitude in a building this size.
It's a really good point. We've got a lot of spinning wheels going on at once behind the scenes, just trying to prepare the best platform we can for high school kids to have the most memorable experiences that they can have that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. We honestly, Harvey and I both work really hard about 2 weeks ahead of every playoff round, 2 weeks ahead of the state championships here in St. Louis. And it's not just us. It's a lot of people. We've got a lot of great people in place, and we're very thankful to have people just that volunteer hours. And, we just can't thank them enough. Without them, there's no way that we could just supply enough manpower to pull it off just between us two. So.
Well, we can't thank you enough. One of the things I always tell people when I come to whether it's Show Me Bowl or Show Me Showdown is that it is a first-class event all the way. It may, to some people, they may say it's just high school football, but that's not the way you guys treat it. It is a first-class feeling from the moment you walk in the building.
You know, I think all of our staff is just really humbled by the opportunity that we have to try to put on some of the best first-class events for high school kids, not only in our state, but honestly, I would compare our championship events to, you know, in any state in the country. I think it starts at the very top. You know, Dr. Kerwin Erhan, he has a really high expectation for the kind of events that we put on at the end of the year.
And is a very hands-on executive director.
Absolutely.
He's down on the field right now working, I know it.
Absolutely, but I tell you what, he trusts us to do our jobs, and, you know, he kind of puts us out there, and we're in the fire working hard, and, you know, he trusts us, and we work hard, and we take a lot of pride in what our final championship sites look like, feel like, you know, not only to the kids, but also to the fans and spectators.
Greg, we've only got about 30 seconds before we let you go. I know you work with the football officials all year long, and this is something that we desperately need. There's a lot of football games that go on every Friday night in the state of Missouri, and we need more officials, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We, you know, not just in football, but in everything. But we've got to continue to have those new guys coming in, those young guys coming in, those former players that still love the sport, and they're still looking for a way to stay in touch with the game. Being a game official is a great way to do that. Plus, you strike up a lot of new friendships and relationships with other officials, you know, during your travels and during your work on games, you know, whether it be lower level stuff during the weekday or on Friday night varsity football. Just a lot of good relationship building. But I'll tell you what, our high school officials got to have a lot of respect for them, because they don't do it for the money. They don't get rich off this. They love the sport. They love officiating, but they love providing an opportunity for these kids to be on the field.
They don't do it for the accolades either. It's a hard job. Well, they do a great job. Thank you for the job that you do. We appreciate what you do for our student athletes. Greg Stahl, everybody. We will step aside. When we come back, John Edwards will join me back in the booth, and we will get back to work bringing you the second half of this great Class 6 championship between the CBC Cadets and Blue Springs South after this. CBC, Blue Springs South, both back out on the field and ready to get back to work here in quarter number 3. This is the nightcap of 4 today, the Class 6 showdown between the defending state champs from CBC and Blue Springs South, the team that has won 2 state championships of their own in their brief school history, and both of them have been by beating the Cadets from right here in St. Louis. We want to remind everybody you've got a chance to protect yourself and those around you by getting a flu vaccine. It's your best defense against the flu. To find a flu vaccine clinic near you, go to mo.gov and click on the flu vaccine locator. This message is brought to you by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. John Edwards back in the booth with me, and John, Blue Springs comes to this near sideline. They are going to have to kick off and try to corral the CBC offense here that has had quite a bit of success here in the first half. What do you think defensively they try to do? It's very simple to say you want to try and take away Trey Bryant. People have tried to do that all year. Nobody's been good at it.
They need to stick to the game plan that they had on the onset of this game, which was try to contain him. You don't want him to break the game open. You want to contain him. And that means you'll have to go bend, not break at this point of the game. And, you know, listen, you got a bunch of seniors on this football team, and the senior leadership needs to step up here in the second half and say, let's get the job done.
Trey Bryant goes 14 carries, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns, all 3 scores for CBC. Is it considered containing him if the longest yardage he broke off is 21? I mean, it's not a backbreaker. 21 yards is a great run, but we know he can go from just about any spot on the field.
He can go from 0 to 100 in a flash. He's a sprinter. I mean, if you can contain him to 21 yards, I think that's a win if you can keep him from scoring. He does have all 3 touchdowns for the team, but if you're doing a good job on all the other players on this team, and, you know, you look at what Allen has done in the first half. He had 6 carries for 20 yards. You know, I mean, I think you're doing a good job containing Trey Bryant.
You look at the Blue Springs South fans. They're running back, no slouch either. 15 carries, 107 yards. 2 touchdowns. He has accounted for both of the touchdowns for the Jaguars. He had a long of 22, 1 yard longer. So both of these guys just mirror images of one another through 2 quarters of play.
CBC cannot fall asleep on Noah Nigro, because I got this funny feeling that Blue Springs South is one of those teams, Corey. We've seen it, and I blindly said, hey, they need to pass the football, and they came out one play and made a pass play. But I think what they need to be careful of is the quarterback Noah Nigro, because right now this is kind of one of the, let's put you to sleep with the run. Let's put you to sleep with the run, and then they're going to hit you with Briley Moore McKinney down the sideline or up the middle of the field. You know, you look at what Briley Moore McKinney's done. He's got 2 catches for 56 yards. The longest catch is 37. So you know that he's capable of breaking this game open for Blue Springs South.
He can be a game changer, just like Brian. At any point on the field, he's just got to make a move. CBC set to kick this one away to Blue Springs South to get things started here in quarter number 3.
I can't read my own notes.
I can't read. You can't read my notes. I know that.
It's funny. Corey has his notes scrawled across many of things. I thought it was hieroglyphics because I couldn't.
Actually, it's Sanskrit. It's a 5,000-year-old dead language, but the left foot of Otto Etzel sends this one all the way back into the end zone, and the Jags will bring it out here. The momentum carried it out. He's able to bring it all the way back just short of the 30-yard line. A nice return and a slow start that time, but a good return for Caleb Hutzel.
Almost was like he wasn't sure if he needed to come out of the end zone or not.
Well, there's this issue in high school football. You know, if it goes into the end zone, it's automatically a touchback. But he fielded it before the goal
was at the 1 yard line and took a step back.
His own momentum carried him back. He's allowed at that point in time to come out, and he went ahead and did so. And good for him and good for Blue Springs South. He goes all the way to the 29-yard line. You talk about Briley Moore, McKinney, and Nigro. They were both injured parts of the last 2 seasons. This is the first season that both their star quarterback and their star wide receiver have been healthy from point A to point B, and look at the difference it makes. Nigro, the quarterback keeper here, and that was a designed quarterback run from the onset.
Nigro followed Bryce Greenwood, his offensive guard, through the middle of the field.
Tell you what the offensive line for Blue Springs South is doing against CBC that Rockhurst did not do a year ago. They are protecting Noah Nigro as he goes again on second down, picks up about 2. It'll be 3rd down and 4. A year ago, the Cadets sacked TJ Green 8 times. That is the second most sacks in a championship game in MSHSAA history. They have sacked Nigro not once tonight. But now they've got a chance to pin their ears back and attack here. 3rd down and 4. The ball sits on the 33-yard line. The opening drive for Blue Springs South here in quarter number 3. Nigro fakes the run, dumps the pass over the middle, and it's gonna be a goner. Going all the way to the house, Cofield. And just like that, the pendulum swings back to the Jaguars.
What a play by Noah Nigro. Fake the keeper up the middle. 67 yards to Cofield, who just stood in the middle of the field with no one near him. I don't know how that happens.
If I would have been that wide open, I would have freaked out. He literally caught that ball. It was like Moses parting the Red Sea. There wasn't a white jersey for 10 yards on either side of it. And just like that, the kick is up and good again. And Adam Cofield, we talked, it's so balanced between these 2 featured backs. It is balanced no more as Nigro, a perfect pass and a perfect run here for Cofield, who is off and gone.
I was watching the offensive line after they made their blocks at the offensive line. Achilles Griffin was standing there just pointing to the end zone as Cofield sprinted down the field 67 yards.
There's a lot of happy Jags fans in the house now as the folks that made the trip over from Kansas City have something to smile about. about, but it's only a 2-point lead. That missed extra point will linger here for a while as we continue in this one. And Adam Cofield, it says protect the tradition on his back. Right now it says hydrate, because it is hot down on that turf. Take it from the guy that's been a sideline reporter the last few years. When you stand down there in a suit and tie, you sweat out the water. Now
just a big guy, I sweat in general.
Roark on for the kickoff, and he sends this one spiraling. It's fielded at the 5-yard line by Anderson. A return, spinning off one would-be tackler, stiff arming another. He'll bring it out to the 24, the 23-yard line. A lot of pushing and shoving at the bottom of the pile.
Hey, that series took off from the 27-yard line, Corey. It only took 90 seconds.
Hey, what happened to those long sustained drives that we kept talking about in the first and second quarter?
We went from a marathon to a sprint?
Well, you know which one of these teams has the track team, but the Blue Springs South Jaguars have the lead, and in football, when the clock hits 0, that's all that matters. Blake Charlton will bring his teammates back out here, and can they answer the bell yet again? Charlton had a fumble late in quarter number 2. He'll find Anderson, who runs around a block and he'll run right over the first down marker. He's going to be short of the first down marker, but the chain gang had to bail out.
Luckily for the chain gang guy, he turned his back to absorb some of that hit.
Yeah, they don't have shoulder pads in the helmet.
No pads whatsoever.
It's like rugby style over there.
Charlton with the fastball out to Anderson. That ball got out there in a hurry.
He can sling it around the yard. There you see the collision. Thankful nobody was injured.
Chains were all jacked up.
Yeah,
they had it listed. I'm not really sure how they had that worked out.
It looked like it was going to be, it was like 2nd and 8 for a minute, and then we got the chains reset. Now it's about 2nd and 3, but takes a little bit of work to get everything straightened out. Charlton with 2 backs in the backfield, twins to the bottom of the formation. Allen with the handoff. He goes up the gut and picks up a CBC first down. 6 yards on the carry for the running back, Caleb Allen.
I kind of like the fact that they use the power with Allen and the finesse and the jukeability from
Jukeability.
Yes, jukeability.
That's like trickeration. Here's a little trickeration. They fake the play action. They give it back to Trey Bryant, and Trey Bryant goes 10 yards on first down. They'll go ahead and move the chains again. This running game has not showed any signs of wavering so far. They get yards in big chunks. It's not 3 yards in a cloud of dust with these cadets. 1st and 10, the give to Allen. He's got a couple of blockers. Will elude one tackler and dive down at midfield. He'll be stopped on the 49-yard line. A pickup of 4.
Jake Lamb making another tackle for Blue Springs South.
That's all he does. 2 tacklers for this Blue Springs South defense that both had over 100 tackles coming into tonight's game. Lamb with 108, Jenkins with 107. And here's Trey Bryant. Bryant, though, sees the door slammed shut. A lot of green jerseys clogging it up. Robert Thomas, 6'1" junior, in to make the stop for the Jags.
They went with that misdirection once again. Cofield in the backfield made a diving play on a stop, just missed Bryant. A big play for the Cadets right here.
Does Cofield ever get a chance to catch his breath? 3rd down and 6 now for CBC. A lot of noise from the Kansas City side of the dome, and they're going to check it down to Anderson. 3 Jags are there, and they stop him 2 yards short. Great job by Blue Springs South to run to the ball. Jacob Lamb, again, you've said his name quite a bit tonight, John, and he's one of the 3. They're going to stop him short, and are they going to go for it here? It looks like they are.
Hawkins on the first contact, and then a false start by CBC.
I think Justin Lewis, big 74 in the middle of your screen there, may have rocked back. That's exactly what our referee, Gary Onspach, has to say. moving backwards here, and that's going to change what the outcome is. You were thinking about going for it, or you were going for it on 4th down. Now the safer bet is the punt.
Bend not break is what I talked about for this Blue Springs South defense here in the 3rd quarter. They get through that first drive by CBC. Couple minutes off the clock. They're going to get the ball back deep in their own end.
Blake Charlton steps in to kick this one away. Runs to his right, then kicks it right down the middle of the field. It's fair caught short of the 25-yard lines by Ricky Nichols, and we'll stay here with 7:58 to go in the 3rd quarter. And man, Blue Springs quarter number 3 has been theirs so far. The huge play between Nigro and Cofield. What do you pull out of the bag of tricks now? We've seen a couple of different big plays from them, and now what had been kind of a grinded out mentality. We thought it was CBC that wanted to show the big plays. Blue Springs, that's how they've got the lead now, is the big play.
You got this Blue Springs South offense moving, keeping the CBC defense off balance as Cofield gobbles up a few more yards on 1st down.
5 yards every time for Adam Cofield. It has been like that the whole game. He's averaging close to 7 yards a touch, and that average has just ballooned up after that big 67-yard touchdown reception just a few moments ago. It'll be 2nd down and 5. The ball set on the 29-yard line. See if CBC doesn't try and attack Nigro here. They show blitz and they bring a few, almost tip that pass. It's pulled in by Hawkins, and he's got a big gainer. Cuts it back to the inside, avoids one tackler, finally gets dropped down on the 40-yard line. A 30-yard catch and run for Jerome Hawkins, the X factor in effect.
Yeah, Jerome Hawkins gets open on the outside, and he gets a block downfield, and he was able to turn the ball upfield. I think if he goes outside on this play, Corey, once we get to see the replay, I think if he goes to the outside of that block after he gets lamb, the block pushes to the outside. If the block doesn't go to the outside, Hawkins does. He's up the sideline.
Still a 30-yard play here. Running back in motion in a different formation this time from Blue Springs, and now all of a sudden Greg Oder mixing up the playbook a little bit. That's the first time we've seen that set out of Blue Springs South.
Yeah, Hawkins was lined up in the backfield, and Hawkins went into motion to the left, which made the CBC defensive line move a little bit. You're seeing on the defensive side of the football for CBC, Dominic Gatewood, hands on his hips at the line of scrimmage. Gatewood, not a small fella.
He's a big man on that cadet line. Now they'll overload the far side, double tight ends here. They're going to run it right down the throat of CBC. It's another 1st down, almost 9 yards on the carry for who else but Adam Cofield.
Downhill running on that play. You got it. He got quickly into that 2nd level. Look at that offensive line blowing off the blocks. They had the defensive line 6 yards down into the field.
And that is just what great old school football coaches love. They lined up double tight, put a hat on a hat, drive your man back. We'll get the better of it, and they do. 1st down, Jags. Again, Cofield this time off the right side. Not quite as much room that time, but he's still close to 5 yards on 1st down, and you cannot discount the success that they're having on 1st down and what it translates to in 2nd and 3rd down situations.
The only one really to stop him on that play was the offensive guard, Achilles Griffin.
Sometimes you got to get out of a guy's way.
Yeah, but it's not easy for Achilles Griffin, a big guy, to get out of the way.
No, and there's not rear view mirrors on those helmets.
I thought they had those little side mirrors that came out the side.
That should be an invention we could talk about. That might be my Flugelbinder. That might be my $1 million idea.
That's our Shark Tank moment right there.
The retirement plan. Noah Nigro not thinking about retiring, but he is thinking about the blocking up front. That time it was all CBC as they were able to win the battle of the trenches and keep the quarterback to no gain.
Making a difference on the play was number 36, Miles Taylor. He has 69 sacks on the season, 4 sacks from the defensive tackle. He made a difference on that play, pushing his player back into Noah Nigro.
A lot of stickers on the helmets of the Blue Springs South Club. They'll put 2 wide receivers to the left of Nigro. He fakes it to Cofield. He doesn't see the man coming from the blind side. That pass, I'm pretty sure, went forward. Boy, CBC wanted to take it to the house, but the whistle is blown. The play is dead. And Nigro, even though he was lit up from the backside, was able to make a throw to a spot on the field. They whistle it dead. CBC hates it, but it's the right call.
Clay Stallings came in untouched and absolutely blew up Noah Nigro on this play, completely unprotected. Oh, the whiplash on the hit, the chin strap over the nose on the play. Nigro got blown up.
The cadet crew getting rowdy on the far side of the field. Blue Springs South now 4th and 3, and they're going to roll the dice. Nigro reeling from the hit in the back by Stallings. That's a broken play. Can Nigro make something out of nothing? He does. He's got a Blue Springs first down on what was a completely botched play.
I don't think Noah Nigro is got his faculties about him after that big hit. Wide-eyed on the play, gets a block from Jake Lamb, and Nigro goes to the inside of Lamb to dive over the 15-yard line to get the first down for the Jaguars.
Nigro goes to the sideline and gets the play, brings it back into the rest of the Jags. 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock here in the Edward Jones Dome. 1st and 10, ball sits on the 15-yard line. A high snap, the give to Cofield. Cofield, the 10, the 5, the end zone. Touchdown, Jags. A 15-yard touchdown run. He's got every touchdown the Jags have scored. He's got all the points. They're an extra point away from making it 30-21 Blue Springs South.
I know one thing. I know Adam Cofield is going to sleep well on the bus driving back to Kansas City tomorrow.
The extra point is up and good, and we will step aside. How the things have changed here in the second half. Blue Springs South leads CBC 30-21. We'll be back in a minute. You're watching the Championships of Football on MSHSAA.tv. Blue Springs South student section. They are pumped up. Their Jaguars have run their way into a third quarter lead. 30-21 as they're on top of the defending champs, the CBC Cadets. Remember, high school sports fans, you never have to miss another game. Become a subscriber to the MSHSAA Network. Watch live event coverage, game replays, and highlights from school sporting events across the country. Millions of athletes, thousands of games. One destination on the MSHSNetwork.com. High school happens here, and now even on special teams, the Jaguars are making plays. They knocked Trey Bryant right out of his shoes on that one.
Watch Bryant get the kick at the 4-yard line. Slowly comes up the field, and he was met by 2 Jaguars. He was met by Robert Thomas, and he was also met by Colin West. 4 minutes on that drive from Blue Springs South. 2 drives, 5.5 minutes, 14 points here in the third quarter. Just saying.
I understand. 1st and 10 now for Blake Charlton. The give to Bryant, and Bryant is still running. He's going to have one man to beat. A slick move. He spins. He's still rumbling before he's knocked out at the 35-yard line. That is the big playability of Trey Bryant. You cannot understate it. One play and he can break it open.
CBC has had success all night long, Corey. Misdirections, power running. Everything has gone to the left side of that offensive line.
See where they go here. Charlton fakes it. It's a pump and go. He's still got time. He runs out of the pocket and will go ahead and take it himself. He'll pick up 7, almost 8 yards on the scamper to the far side. And we've seen that play a couple of times now, John, where, and I mean, give credit where credit is due. The CBC offensive line is doing a great job. Charlton has all day, but that pump and go, he still hasn't released on it. He sees it, he gives the fake, and then he either has to check down or run out. So the corners for Blue Springs South doing a good job on the deep ball. It's going to be Caleb Allen on the carry, and he's got enough for another CBC first down.
You talk about Blake Charlton not releasing that pump and go ball. It's good smarts and visual awareness not to just throw the ball into coverage. Give him credit on that.
Charlton now tries to check it down. That one bounced. Not sure what Allen was going to do with that one on a one hop, but a forward pass, and it'll be an incompletion. Bring up second down and 10. The ball on the 25-yard line.
Good play by the defensive end, Elijah Twy, who actually got a hand on the ball at the line of scrimmage.
Blake Charlton will have to find a way to keep things rolling here for CBC as they're down today by 8, and that'll do it. Just like that, the Cadets strike right back. Touchdown CBC. It's a 30-27 ball game as they hit Roderick Bryant for the 6, a 6'3" senior wide receiver. First time I think we've called his name tonight, John.
It was a good play by Blake Charlton. Safeties were creeping up for Blue Springs South on the play, and they got Bryant open on the inseam.
Otto Etzel, the left-footed kicker for CBC. The chip shot here goes up and through the uprights, and with 3:04 to play here in the third quarter, it's a 2-point ball game. CBC makes it close. They trail Blue Springs South 30-28. Back inside the Edward Jones Dome, we're trying to bring our marathon of football to a close here. Game number 4, quarter number 3 of the docket today with 3:04 to play. CBC has charged their way right back into this Class 6 championship. Blue Springs South with the lead 30-28, a 2-point differential now as Etzel set to send this one all the way to the end zone, as he has done on pretty much every kick. I think Blue Springs has only had a chance to return one of those, and that is something that is really undervalued when you take the return ability away from a team that's got skill players like a CBC or Blue Springs South.
I'm sorry, but when you have Adam Cofield standing at the goal line and he can run from 0 to whatever real fast, I don't know if I want him to touch the football.
No, I'm saying it's something that a lot of teams would like to have. There's not a lot of teams that have a kicker that has a leg that can put it into the back of the end zone every time and just negate that altogether.
I know when I went to high school, kicking wasn't really part of the repertoire of our school. Everything was a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, there's a few schools that still go by that thought. There's a few NFL teams now that think, hey, why go for 1 from 33 yards away when I can go from 2 from right here?
Seeing Nigro with the football a lot more here in the third quarter.
Dominique Gatewood in on the stop again. A couple other Cadets on the top of the pile. Second down and 7 after the 3-yard gain by Nigro. Blue Springs South wanting to end this undefeated season with one more victory, and they try to hold on to this 2-point lead. The defense of CBC, though, rising up here, only a couple of yards again. Lewis in on the stop. Tell you what, the CBC defense may be undersized, but they are not undermanned as they forced a big 3rd down and 5 here in the final 2 minutes of the third.
Hutzel on that last carry goes to the right. Hutzel not the same type of running back as Cofield. Hutzel, no patience, ran right into the back of his offensive line.
They're going to blow this one dead. I think somebody flinched on the green side for the Jags. 5-yard procedure penalty will basically make it a 3rd down and 10 here. Now you've got to know that Nigro's going to have to work quickly here. Tell you what, they've had a couple of screen passes that have paid dividends. I wonder if they'll go back to that well again here.
Riley Moore McKinney has been very quiet here in the second half. We played almost the whole entire third quarter.
Now they go into the middle of the field and have some success. A first down toss to Jacob Lamb, the senior, does it again. The two-way starter for Blue Springs South gets a much-needed first down.
Huge pass from Nigro, not the best pass, a little bit wobbly out of the hand, but still a completion on the near side of the field.
I still wonder if he's got his feet back underneath him after that wicked hit he took right in between the shoulder blades. First down and 10, shotgun snap. They'll give it. The first man through in a couple of yards, 3 yards on the carry for Hutzel again. Because I think they're trying to spell Cofield as long as they can here, because he will probably be a very big part of the offense for the final 12 minutes.
I was making sure that he wasn't being looked out by medical on the sideline. He's standing next to the backup quarterback at the 32-yard line, so he's still in good shape and standing upright.
Here we go. Quick little toss to the outside. A great job to make the defense bite. And Hutzel running away from the defense, running away from CBC, and running into the touchdown. 61 yards. Another big play by Blue Springs South. Hutzel trying to give Adam Cofield a breather. I didn't just give you a breather, man. I gave you 6 more points.
Give credit to Noah Nigro to recognize the pressure come in the flick out front to Hutzel, who had nothing but pay dirt in front of him.
It is so hard for a quarterback to learn how long to hold that option before you release, and he released it quickly, and Hutzel did the rest. The extra point is up and through, and it is a 37-28 ball game with 14 seconds to go until the end of the quarter. Hutzel breaking maybe the longest run of his season. When you look at his numbers, 516 yards on the season. He averaged about 40 a game. He got almost twice that here on one big play.
61 yards on the play, and I'll tell you what, we talked about Noah Nigro here tonight and how he needed to take care of the football. He's done a wonderful job doing that. One diving last gasp effort made by Anderson, but Hutzel, maybe he'll be the new track star at Blue Springs South next year.
Hutzel rolls into the end zone, the first player for Blue Springs to score that isn't Adam Cofield or the kicker. And he gets touchdown number 6. He only had 5 in the 13 previous games to this one.
Do you think he walked over to the head coach, Greg Oder, and said, "Hey, coach, can I get a couple more touches now?"
I think he'll give him to him. Roark's kick fielded short at the 5-yard line. Here's Gary Anderson, and the big green machine is there in a hurry. The Jags take Gary Anderson down. Malcolm Adair in on the stop.
I don't know. It's very odd watching CBC taking kickoffs, because Anderson and Trey Bryant, when they catch the ball, they don't look to take off to max speed. They just kind of slow down. They don't really, unless they're waiting for blocks in front of them. I mean, they're not running at full capacity. They've had poor field position on every kickoff.
Yeah, you know, coaches will tell you time and time again, you have to win in all aspects of the game, and it's not just offense and it's not just defense. Being able to flip a field with a punt, being able to get a big kickoff return makes a big difference. So now CBC going with Caleb Allen here, who had a couple of really nice runs on their last offensive series. Not able to find much. He gets forward for maybe a yard as time expires here. When we come back, it'll be 2nd down and 9. The Blue Springs South Jaguars have 4 fingers in the air. They've got the lead as they head into the all-important 4th, 37-28. You're watching the Class 6 Championship on MSHSAA.TV, a partner of the NFHS Network. In the last 3 weeks of the football season, Blue Springs South has had to get past a 1-loss Jeff City team, a Francis Howell team that was undefeated prior to meeting Blue Springs South, and then a very tough 1-loss Kirkwood team, who, by the way, won the 108th Turkey Day game, and I know you got to see that one firsthand, and they get the Frisco Bell. Trey Bryant now on first down. That is a tradition here in St. Louis that I don't think enough people around the state realize goes on.
That was a fun game to be a part of yesterday with coordinating producer Jim Powers, and you know, two teams that are separated by just a few miles, and it was a fun game to do. It really was. The Frisco bell rung almost the entire game by the student body of Kirkwood.
Gary Anderson on 3rd down and 1. He needed 1. He got 3 after a good run by Trey Bryant. Gary Anderson now in the ball game. And earlier today when I did the Class 4 game with Dion Clisso, one of the things he said to me that's always true, doesn't matter if you're normally a defensive starter, doesn't matter if you're normally a running back or a wideout. On Championship Friday or Championship Saturday, if coach says get the ball, you go get the ball. Gary Anderson playing defense, special teams, offense, doing everything he can. Trey Bryant now tries the right side. He'll have 8 yards on first down. Jake Lamb in on the stop for Blue Springs South, and we look at some of the third quarter numbers here. Listen to this. Trey Bryant, 117 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Adam Cofield, 20 carries, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Pump and go for Charlton again. Can he get vertical? This time he does. The bullet pass won't be reached. The intended target was the young man who just reeled in a touchdown a little while ago, Roderick Bryant. And now all of a sudden, Bryant being an important cog in the Cadet offense. I
like the play, though, from 2nd and short, trying to go vertical down the field, stretch the defense out.
Show the secondary, show especially the safeties for Blue Springs that they can't just keep shading Trey Bryant, that you've got to respect Charlton's arm. What will they find here on 3rd down and 2? The ball sets on the 36. Defensive secondary up. They'll run it. It's right to the first down marker, and then a second surge will get them across for the first down.
Trey Bryant ran right behind the offensive line there on. He ran right behind Brady Swanson.
Big number 64. Out there paving the road for Trey Bryant. Bryant had a soft verbal commitment to K-State, then changes in a couple of weeks, decides he's going to be a Nebraska Cornhusker, and Blake Charlton wanted to hand off and nobody wanted to take it from him, but the Blue Springs South defense will take him down. Nicholas Blair there to stop Charlton behind the line of scrimmage, and not sure what went wrong on that play. Charlton just stood there with the ball waiting and nobody ever came for it.
I'm not sure if it was a blown play or not. We'll watch. Charlton's waiting, nothing. And then all of a sudden Nick Blair came out of nowhere to chase down Charlton, and it's going to be a false start on the offense. Oh, wow.
They jumped into the neutral zone that time. It looked like it was just right on the nose that time defensively. May have been Isaiah Miles, one of the big guys up front for Blue Springs South, but it's going to be 2nd down and 6 here. You know, the thing is, that may have not been a blow play. Charlton is so calm back there. He really could have just stood there knowing that he has time. His offensive line has done a great job blocking for him all day, and now they need to get outside, and they do so. A good spin and a couple of more yards picked up by Caleb Allen.
We talk about time of possession. We talked about that earlier. In the 3rd quarter, Blue Springs South had the ball for 8.5 minutes.
Only leaves 3.5 minutes for Blue Springs, and I'm not, or for CBC, and I'm not that good at math. A big 3rd down here. Clock under 9 minutes now. Empty backfield for Charlton. Will he look this way? He's got Trey Bryant all alone. He zips it over here, and who can catch Bryant? Bryant able to get the first down and a couple extra yards.
I like the play from the Cadets. Watch. Charlton looks down the center of the field. He knows that Bryant is wide open down on the near side, and Bryant can get to the end.
Run out of bounds by number 6, Micah Mayberry. And I just don't know how, of all the players that are wearing purple and white, that you don't roll to the side of the field where number 8 is. To see him stand alone that long was kind of shocking. He's not alone here. He tries to make one man miss and he loses his footing. He's taken down by Jacob Lamb.
Bryant gets up, and what's he do? He's dragging his feet on the turf, trying to get some friction in his shoes. Watch, he hopped over he hopped over Brady Swanson, the offensive lineman in front of him.
You can tell he's just frustrated from that. He knows that he could have made Lamb miss, but instead he slips down. Only ends up with a 4-yard gain. They set it up to screen it to him again, but this time Charlton will go down the field, caught for a first down at the 30-yard line. 18 yards as he hits Gary Anderson.
Cale Connors on the tackle. Connors, I thought maybe was going to be able to slide under that, but a good play by Anderson to seal off Connors on the catch.
Found a soft spot in the defensive secondary and made a home in it. First down, CBC. Trips to the near side now. And Charlton on a design quarterback draw goes up the middle. Gets hit by 3 Jaguars after picking up 3 yards.
Design keeper for the quarterback. Charlton had 3 wides out to the left side. He had Bryant, he had Anderson, and he also had the other Bryant lined up on the outside. He had Roderick Bryant.
Trips again to the near side for Charlton. It's a jailhouse break, and down goes Blake. That's it. CBC sacked again. Boy, this attacking defense for the Jags just comes in waves. Cofield has done so much on the offensive side. Now he submarines the Cadets QB.
And a huge loss at that. Watch, 6 guys came at the ball. Cofield got around. He got around Max Durrell for the sack. We saw Cofield take that last offensive series off. Maybe he needed that to charge the batteries again.
He looks charged up here. 37-28 our score. Blue Springs South with the lead. CBC with the ball on 3rd and forever. A blistering pass is almost picked off. It bounces off the hands of Micah Mayberry, who saw that one slip through his fingers. Mayberry thought he was going to come away with one. It is 4th down and forever here. 4th and 17 with 6:40 to go. There's quite a bit of time, but maybe enough time to not go ahead and roll the dice here, John.
They need to get, you know that Blue Springs South is owning the time of possession right now. You know that they have to get a first down.
Charlton's going to go for it all here. He's got his big target, but he can't bring it down again. They have zeroed in on Roderick Bryant here in the second half, and that time Bryant couldn't beat his man. Mayberry missed on the pick on the 3rd down play, but he covered his man, and they get the turnover on downs here.
Came up huge on that last play by Bryant. Charlton walking gingerly back to the sideline for the Cadets.
That's a 6'1" corner and a 6'3" wide receiver. That's big boy football on the outside.
That's Division I football size on the outside.
Haven't seen that sort of matchup all day. Won't see that kind of matchup here in the Dome until probably the next time the Rams come back to town.
Maybe. The Rams wide receivers are 5'10" and 5'11".
That's true. Nigro hands off. Cofield around the right side, picks up about 2 on first down, and this is about to become a very methodical offense.
Yep, you're up by 9 with approaching the midway mark here in the 4th quarter. You know you can run the football against CBC. Front 3 for CBC, hands on the hips.
Number 1 and number 3 in the media poll at the end of the season, CBC and Blue Springs South. The give is to Cofield again. The CBC defense still attacking. Anderson with the initial contact. The running back finished off by Clayton Stalling. Stalling was the linebacker that absolutely lit Nigro up on that backside blitz. And, you know, Nigro's a lefty, so the blind side flips then, and boy, my back still hurts from that hit.
CBC had 9 in the box on that last play, trying to stuff the run at the line of the scrimmage.
They're not going to drop that many in the box this time on 3rd and 7. Nigro tries to run the option. He spins, he drives forward, he breaks free. Noah Nigro breaks free, and it's another Blue Springs South first down. Oh my, all the way down to the 24-yard line. He goes 36 yards. Noah Nigro was bottled up, John. He was in jail and pulls a Houdini.
He pulled a Houdini by spinning out. Watch. Nigro fakes the pitch, steps inside, spins, gets away from the 2 defenders holding him at the line of scrimmage, gets away from a diving Gary Anderson. CBC trying to strip the ball. Then all of a sudden, Hutzel comes from behind, pushes him another 3 yards forward.
We've got a CBC player down on the field. It's Gary Anderson. It looks like it's just a cramp. They're kind of stretching out the calf. You see Noah Nigro getting a water break. I want to remind you, one of our other friends with the Missouri State High School Activities Association, the Department of Health and Senior Services, you can protect yourself and those around you by getting a flu vaccine. It is your best defense against the flu. Annual vaccinations against flu is recommended for all people 6 months of age and older, unless they have a condition or a medical reason not to get the vaccine. Stay in the game, get vaccinated, and help us tackle the flu. To find a flu vaccine clinic near you, go to mo.gov and click on the flu vaccine locator. This message is brought to you by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. John Gary Anderson able to walk off the field on his own power. Like I said, I believe that was just a cramp.
Yeah, Anderson's logging a lot of miles here tonight. He's had his hands full offensively and defensively.
Well, he hasn't come off the field. Offense, defense, and special teams. He's always on the kick returns. I mean, there's no break for him.
He's a 98%er.
Well, Noah Nigro gave well over 98% on that first down run, and now the Jags are back in business. 1st and 10 on the 24-yard line, and Hutzel spins once, spins twice, and finally gets brought down by the Cadets, number 13, Brent Bledsoe, a 5'9" junior.
Always scares me when a running back gets to the line of scrimmage and spins, because the ball is not close to the body. It's away from the body just a little bit. I'm always afraid if somebody, whether either side, comes and makes a solid hit on the elbow and the ball comes popping out.
The Cadets fans a little bit quieter now than they were in the first half. Blue Springs, Nigro able to run up the middle again. Oh, he fumbles it. It's loose in the end zone. CBC's on top of it. And the Cadets are going to get a touchback, and Nigro is down on the turf. He can't believe it. You just said it. You keep spinning. You keep working. You never knock a guy for trying to get the extra yard, but here it's going for the extra yard that leads to the turnover. Nigro stripped here.
He was stripped right before the knee touched the turf.
Clayton stalling on the strip. The fumble recovered by number 7, Rashawn Davis.
Nigro not able to get 2 hands on the football as he was being ripped and torn at by Clayton Stallings from behind.
Like that, the CBC defense says don't write us off just yet. There's 4:05 to play. It is a 9-point ball game. It's 2 scores. They've got to get something here on this possession. Charlton, as cool and steady as they come, will go back to work here. A quick hitter to 87. Ben Gormley, the 6-foot junior. He'll pick up 5 yards, and it's 2nd down.
You'll see the CBC offense move a little bit quicker here. Down 2 scores, under 4 minutes to go. Not as many substitutions.
And no time to waste here, as this is really slow developing here. Bryant almost lines up as a tight end, now goes into the slot. Charlton claps and awaits the snap from center. He's got a rush in his face, and he'll have to throw that one away. Blue Springs brought the blitz again.
And CBC spread out offensively. They brought Trey Bryant out of the backfield. They put him on a slot to the right, but Blue Springs South still blitzed on the play. Give credit to Blue Springs South. Hey, we're still going to go with our defense. We're still going to bring pressure all night long.
We're going to do what got us here. We are not going to lay back in a cover 2 and pray that we don't get beat deep. They keep sending guys. Cofield sent in that time. They didn't get the sack, but they disrupted the play. 3rd down and 5 now. 3 receivers to the right of Blake Charlton. He's got plenty of time and a great throw and an even better catch by Gary Anderson, and he is shaken up on the play. Gary Anderson has been beat up tonight, John.
He got lit up by the team's leading tackler, Jake Lamb. Watch the hit by Lamb. Oh, the lower back.
That is rough. And Jake Lamb walks back with his team, and medical attention will be given to Gary Anderson here with 3 minutes and 24 seconds to play.
Anderson will have to come off the field. That's a big loss on a play for CBC with 3.5 minutes to go.
And he's up to his knees. He'll be able to go off under his own power, not needing any help here. But I tell you what, we have seen some wicked hits today. We've seen wicked hits. I saw one of the most vicious hits I think I've seen, at least in all of the 2015 season, between Kearney and Webb City. And there's been a couple of shots tonight on Noah Nigro and now on Gary Anderson that leave you with a clenched jaw.
We talked to both coaches this week, Corey. They both said the same thing. It's going to be physical.
It's been just that. Charlton throws off his back foot and delivers a strike. Holy cow, look at Cameron Babb. Boy, they go from the 38 to the 31 on the other end of the field on a rifle shot out of the right hand of Blake Charlton, and the offense quickly back up to the line here. 3 minutes to go in the game. Charlton casually walks back and delivers another bullet, this time to the near side, and he hits Roderick Bryant again. And now we've got a Blue Springs South player down. Think the cramps are continuing. Micah Mayberry, he's going to get up and roll over to the side of the field. Give that young man credit for not wanting his team to have to burn a timeout.
Let's see if they go right at the defensive back, Ricky Nichols. Instead, they hand the ball off up the middle.
Caleb Allen takes it from the 27 down to the 16. He gets the Cadets another 1st down, and this quick play offense is showing its strength right here. Charlton now rolling to his right. Looks downfield, it's intercepted. Intercepted by Blue Springs. Running away from the field is Colin West. Finally, Charlton, the quarterback, saves it at the 40-yard line.
Colin West sat underneath that route as good as any football player you could ever imagine in a linebacker. They teach this. You see it more frequently in the NFL, where the linebacker just sits underneath a route, and Colin West did exactly that on the play from Charlton.
He read the eyes of the quarterback. He waited. He did not anticipate until the last moment, and he made what may be the absolute nail in the coffin of the Cadets' bid for a repeat state championship with 2:09 to play. He will turn things over to the Blue Springs South offense. That big offensive line and a running back who has been nothing short of stellar all night, Adam Cofield. They've got 2 minutes and 9 seconds to maintain a 9-point lead. The give is to Cofield. A little run off the left side will garner only about a yard.
CBC has 3 timeouts remaining. They'll use one here.
Both teams more than happy to take a minute to catch their breath. This game has been everything we could have hoped for. We saw games earlier today go down to the final possession, and this one has been just as exciting as Blue Springs South trailed in the early going of this one and has stormed all the way back to have the 9-point edge, 37-28. And the interception by West, John, they tell you if you don't win the turnover battle, sometimes you don't win the war. None bigger than that one tonight.
Just the second interception by Blake Charlton, the third turnover by CBC here on the night. But really, Corey, it's been all Blue Springs South here in the second half.
And point out, Blake Charlton coming into tonight had only thrown 6 picks all year. This Blue Springs South team has picked him off twice now. That's quite a percentage when you see what he's done today. Blue Springs South now having to control the clock here, and the best way to do that is control the line of scrimmage. That is not what happens here, as coming through and making the stop again for CBC is Clayton Stalling. He has played a great game tonight.
He got through. They went with an overloaded offensive line. They brought in double tight end, and Clayton Stallings was able to get through all of that to make the play in the backfield and a loss. Now it's 3rd and long for this Blue Springs South team. Still just 2 minutes to go. Still a 2-score game now.
You know, the 2 times that Blue Springs has won a state championship in football, it's been against the CBC Cadets, but they have been snake bit in their 2 other championship appearances that were against other St. Louis teams. Apparently, Blue Springs South does not have as much luck if the name Hazelwood is included anywhere. They were the state runners-up in Class 5A twice. In 1995, they lost to Hazelwood East, then moved up to 6A in 2008 and fell to Hazelwood Central.
Never know, luck may change.
Well, and this is still a game that could change on a dime here. That we talk about the speed that this team has on the offensive side of the ball, speaking about CBC over and over and over again. It's the same speed that's on the defensive side of the ball. You get a interception here, you force a fumble here, and that speed can end up in the end zone on the left side of the field in a hurry. So 3rd down and 15 now, and there's a bad snap. The ball runs away, and Nigro,
Smart play.
It's as smart and as calm as a play as you can make. Go ahead and sit down with it.
Not sure what happened on that last play. Snap came to Nigro. He wasn't even paying attention. He just happened to throw his hand in the air to block the ball down.
And you expect that in a moment where if, say, both of the student sections were really on their feet and making some noise, that it could get kind of loud here in the Edward Jones Dome. That wasn't the case. It was pretty quiet in here, and that was just miscommunication. But Nigro, a senior, very calm. It's a heady play. It's a live to fight another day play. Go ahead and sit down, get ready to punt, and tell your defense you got a 9-point lead. Play good defense for 2 minutes, and we're going to take our 3rd state championship trophy back to Kansas City.
He played that ball like a true shortstop, that's for sure. He got a true hop off the carpet, scooped it up, and took a sliding play into second base to end the inning.
Glove hand on the right, because he's left-handed, slides over, makes the play. So it is 4th and 25 after the sliding loss by Nigro.
Surprised CBC has a returner deep. They're not sending everybody.
Yeah, I kind of thought they may try and go for the block here. The punter is Corey Jackson, a low punt. And this end-over-end kick fielded at the 21-yard line. There's a big block, and flags come in, flags all over the place.
I think we're going to have a block in the back, and I think we're also going to have a personal foul hit out of bounds on the near side sideline. It looks like there's a player down, and the Blue Springs Bab is down. He's going to limp off the field, across the field.
It was the return man, the sophomore Cameron Babb, and this really has been kind of a war of attrition tonight with injuries and cramps and everything else here in the final period.
So they don't get the personal foul near the sideline, and the Cadets will be pushed back.
They'll make the line of scrimmage the 24. as Blake Charlton is really going to have to showcase that future Missouri Tiger arm here with a minute 44. This has to become a vertical game. Start circling 88 Roderick Bryant on your stat sheet. They'll check down first to Trey Bryant. He makes one man miss, two men miss.
Keep them in bounds.
And they do just that. CBC has burned through all three of their timeouts, trying to save the clock on the last offensive possession for South. Boy, a nice stiff arm by Trey Bryant. Going to be fun to watch him at Nebraska the next few years. This time they go to Gary Anderson. Good to see him back in the ballgame. He's been one of those guys that's been oft injured tonight, in and out of the lineup all night long, and now a little slow to get up again because he is dinged up.
He's been hammered every time he touched the football.
No easy yards for Anderson tonight. They've got the first down, though. Charlton back to it, flat-footed, flushed from the pocket and taken down. Taken down by Adam Cofield.
Cofield from that linebacker position. Almost like a rover position for him because he's in on almost every play, and he beats Max Durrell once again to the inside. Durrell's got to be exhausted seeing him run at him all night long.
And that is the second sack here in the second half for Adam Cofield. He's coming at him again. He tries to get around Trey Bryant. He does. It's running back on running back violence, and the Jaguars get the better of it. The clock is running with 25 seconds, and on back-to-back plays, the beast of a running back for Blue Springs South turns on the jets, uses that speed as a linebacker, and blows Blake Charlton up not once but twice. Charlton on third down. They come at him again. He's got nowhere to run. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. It's over. Hunter Jenkins finishes it. Blue Springs South has finished an undefeated season by upsetting the defending state champs. The Jaguars are the kings of Class 6.
What a scene down on the field. We talked about the blitzing style defense from Craig Oder, and it was just blitz after blitz after blitz after blitz, especially in a drive where there's no timeouts left for the Cadets, and you know Blake Charlton's got to sling the football down the field, but nobody was able to get open for the Cadets.
It is going to go down in the record book as a 37-28 game. The senior class for Blue Springs South has completed a perfect 14-0 season. The seniors on this team, like Noah Nigro and Adam Caulfield, have been playing football together since middle school. They had 2 undefeated seasons in middle school. Then they fight injury through their first 3 years of high school. Finally, all the key pieces stay healthy for 1 year, and it ends in a perfect season for the Jaguars, a perfect ending.
5-6 last year was this team from Blue Springs South, and they go the route 14-0 on the season.
They are the first home team today in the Edward Jones Dome to take home a state championship. Prior to this game, the visitors on the scoreboard had won every game from 8-man to Class 4 to Class 2. Blue Springs South, however, changes that outcome in our final game on this fantastic Friday of football, upsetting CBC, the #1 team in the media poll, 37-28, a 9-point victory. Now Blue Springs South all-time is a perfect 3-0 against CBC, and they have 3 state championship trophies in that trophy case in Kansas City, 2006, 2011, and now once again in 2015.
We saw probably two of the state's best running backs here on display tonight.
I don't know how anybody could argue to the contrary. So many of the other schools that you've seen today and will see this weekend, the Webb Cities, the Chaminades, it's a running back by committee. These two teams, it is very specifically a featured back, as now the Blue Springs South Jaguars have made it through the handshake line and are starting to celebrate with their coaching staff. Greg Oder, year number 15. And he brings it all home. He's been at Blue Springs South since 1992. He's been a part of all three of these state championship runs. One of the best in the business. And these young men elated at their victory over a very, very talented CBC team who now is going to have to start the process, John, of rebuilding. They graduated a lot of talent last year. They're going to graduate a ton of talent this year. Hard to replace guys like Blake Charlton and Trey Bryant.
Yeah, they'll get some players though to come back. Caleb Allen, who we saw quite a bit here tonight, just a junior. We'll know that he comes back. You get to see maybe next year a quarterback, Brett Gabbert, just a freshman, Blaine Gabbert's little brother who plays in the NFL.
CBC now on the field to accept the second place trophy from our friends from the Missouri State High School Activities Association. Hold your heads up high, cadets. A lot of teams would like to trade places with the team that won a state championship and followed us up with a state runner-up. But right now, the rowdiest crowd in the dome are the guys in green. Look at the mob scene down on the 50-yard line as the Jaguars wait. And Bo Button, our PA announcer, announces the championship going to Kansas City, going to Blue Springs South. The students traveled well for this one, well represented from all the way across I-70.
The first guy to grab the trophy for Blue Springs South, Riley Moore McKinney, a guy who led this team throughout the entire year. It was McKinney, it was Cofield, and tonight it was Noah Nigro. And tonight, well, McKinney might not have shown up on the stat sheet as much as maybe he would like to have, but he really got it going for this team here tonight.
It has been an incredible day of football, capped off by a great championship run tonight. The Cadets and the Jaguars put on a show that no one in St. Louis will soon forget. But tonight, the crown goes back to Kansas City and back to Blue Springs South. For our coordinating producer, Jim Powers, for my partner, John Edwards, and all the great camera and production crew we've had on hand in the Dome today, it's a final here in St. Louis. Blue Springs wins at 37-28. Good night from the Edward Jones Dome. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Show Me Bowl.